welcome to Making a Difference Wednesday here in the Fishbowl. You are locked into the 99% Radio Network, broadcasting live from Fishbowl Radio Network studios here in Globe Life Park, the heart of Arlington, Texas's entertainment district, man. We have a great show planned for you today. I hope everybody is enjoying this beautiful weather out. And I want to welcome to the studio Mongo and 12. What's up, brothers?
How you doing, buddy?
What's going on, Sideshow?
All right, man. We've all been stressed out this week. Everybody's taking a big hit all around, all over the country, and I know we're gonna take that to another level with the Mongo log probably around 4 p.m. today, man. I know, Mongo, you've been working on this for a long time, so I just want to gear up our audience for very, very interesting Mongo log, because one thing I like about your Mongo logs is that they are all fact-checked and voter-approved.
Yeah, well, I kept it light last week. It's going to be a little bit heavier and deeper this week, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending how you look at it.
Yeah, but it's gonna open up some eyes. It's gonna shine a lot of light, and I know nobody will be disappointed, man. 12. So who do we got coming on the show today?
Well, here shortly we're going to have the international president of the Kaotic Angels LEMC, Lil Tex.
Nice,
will be
man.
Here.
Always great to have him in the studio.
And by the way, coming up, it's almost our 1-year birthday. July 10th will be the anniversary of our first year on the air.
Yes.
And Lil Tex was our very first guest.
Very first guest. We should have had him in July 10th.
Yeah,
we can bring him back.
He's a little premature. But.
So I'm going to leave that alone.
I left it alone, too.
I'm going to leave that one alone. But, we've been talking about everything that's going on in the news. We don't want to harp on a lot of things. If you have a question, if you have a concern, if you want to voice your opinion, please give us a call at 214-556-6239. That's 214-556-6239. Tell us how you're holding up. Tell us what your views are, what your opinion is. Are you right? Are you left? Are you down the middle? Are you scared? Or you just don't really give a shit what's going on because it's not happening in your backyard.
Or you just want to vent.
Or you just want to vent. But, I saw now in Seattle, Washington, I don't know if it was Antifa or whatever it was, took 6 blocks of an area, and they call it a cop-free zone. And now that, the business owners and the homeowners in there are scared. They don't know what to do, how to react, what would you do? What would you do if you lived in that Mad Max, zone? How would you react? Oh, well, I know how you'd react.
I'd move to Texas.
Move to Texas.
I'd repeat that line from Tombstone. I'm your Huckleberry.
Yeah. So, like I said, man, give us a shout, 214-556-6239, 214-556-6239, man. Let us know what you're thinking about. So, we got a lot of great things coming up. Were you pointing for something?
No, that was accidental.
Oh, you accidentally
That was an accidental point.
How do you accidentally point?
I just turned that way to look. I caught movement.
And your finger went with
My
you?
finger went with me. It goes everywhere I go.
He's trained. His finger follows his eyes.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Whoop, accidentally kicked you. Sorry. He just does that. We got a lot of good things coming up. Last month at Walk the Bridge. Walk the Bridge was a phenomenal turnout, 132 participants last month in May. And, with all this COVID thing and the lockdowns, people were happy to come out and participate, and we can't thank those supporters enough. Want to bring up the Walk the Bridge new website that you can go on to. It's still we're still adding things to it, but right now we have some of our events up there. So go to www.walkthebridge.org, and you can click on that. Check out all our events that are upcoming to raise awareness for police and military suicides across the country. I got to throw a big thank you to Steve Horowitz for putting that all together for us.
You guys did a great job.
Oh, that was Steve, man. Steve did that. He called me up and he said, "Hey, I think we can do this. Let's put this out there." And this way we can raise more awareness. We can get people to come on our page on the website and share their views and so forth. So we're looking forward to June 22nd, where we will be doing once again walking the bridge, and we'll be doing that at 6:30 again.
6:30.
We're going to keep doing them at 6:30 until daylight savings. So we would like everybody to come on out and support. And then we got the August 1st comedy fundraiser and military fundraiser. So you want to touch on
Veterans Victory Celebration?
Yeah, you want to touch
August
on that?
1st.
Yeah, you want to touch on that?
gates will open at 3 o'clock, and we'll end up 10:30, 11 o'clock that night. It's a joint fundraiser for the North Texas Military Heritage Collection, VFW Post 5076. And while I'm talking about VFW Post 5076, this weekend, Saturday at noon, the Southern Dogs and I think the Nine Brothers are supporting this. They have really been, they are 5076 supporters. They support veterans of foreign war, and they have been working overtime to support 5076. They had a big crawfish boil last weekend. Nine Brothers put it on. Southern Dogs supported them. Pretty successful. Mongo and I covered it for the 99.
Well, fortunately, 5076 is still open because we have had some VFWs around DFW that have closed down permanently because of the COVID-19. Everybody closing businesses down.
When you say permanently, permanently?
Yeah, done. I forget. I was talking to somebody last week at 5076, and they were talking about a couple of them that went down. So the fact that 5076 is still open is good, but we need to support them and help with these fundraisers to keep that establishment open. It's a nice meeting place. It's open to the public. It's not. You don't have to be a military veteran. You can go in there.
See, and that's one thing, we try to get across too. We want to raise awareness that the VFWs in everybody's, everybody has one in their local community. Those are not city run. They are not government funded. Those are privately funded buildings and organizations that if they don't make their rent, they'll lose their buildings. A lot of VFWs lease their halls. Some have had the ability to purchase them straight out. So those bars that are open inside those VFWs, that pays the mortgage, the light bill, that pays all that. So, when we talk about going to fundraisers, man, we got to hit them all over the place. We can't let these VFWs close because that affects our veteran population. That's their home. They came back. That's all they have right now.
Well, at 5076 is now a smoke-free establishment. They've built a shelter out back that you can take your drinks and smokes out back. They've got pool tables. They've got shuffleboard. They've got darts. They've got some video games. I think they've got video poker in there. Mm-hmm. They've got all kinds of activities. You don't just have to sit there and drink. You can sit there and watch TV. You got karaoke on, is it Wednesday night?
Yes.
Yeah. So there's all kinds of stuff going on at that establishment.
Yeah. Well, and what makes this one important, on Saturday, the Southern Dogs, and I believe they're supported by the Nine Brothers, they're having a bike / bikini car wash. And if I remember correctly, it's $10 a vehicle. They have domestic buckets of beer for $11, and imports are $13. And they're working hard to raise money. And the reason they're doing that is because the commander of that post, we know him as Gunner, Ed Kleinbell. Ed and Betty Boop are both a little bit under the weather right now. But they do so much for our veteran community in Garland, Rowlett, Rockwall area. And a lot of it is done out of pocket. And, of course, with COVID, no money was coming into the post at all. They were shut down. And but yet they still continued to work with the VROC and other non-government organizations to help veterans that needed it. So if you're not doing anything on Saturday at about noon, ride your bike over to VFW Post 5076. It's located at the intersection of Castle and Meridian. It's right off of Centerville, close to Rowlett on the east side of Garland. And get your bike washed and your chrome polished, and have a cold beer while you're at it.
Yeah, you can't miss it. It's
So
the only building
it-
in the neighborhood with a tank parked out
Well,
front.
let me ask something. Is it extra to get your chrome polished?
I
Is that
do
like
not,
a happy ending?
I do not know anything about that. I'd have to ask.
Don't know. I mean, I'm just asking. I'm asking for a friend.
So that'll be going on, and then on back to the August 1st, it's a triple fundraiser for 5076 for the museum and for the VROC, the Veterans Resource and Outreach Center, and that's I'm pretty excited about that because Third Watch, the Nine Brothers, America's Guardians, Whiskers for Wounded Warriors, the Chaotic Angels, all these groups have come together to help support these three nonprofits, and should be a great day of military memorabilia, followed up by a 1940s style Bob Hope themed comedy show. So you're going to have the museum, all the exhibits, Camp Hauser reenactors will be there, Dallas Pinup Girls will be there. Mongo and I talked to them this past Saturday when we covered pinups and pipes for Dallas Harley Davidson. Should be
Saluting
just
Marine.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Chim
he said-
Chambers,
yeah,
the Saluting
coming in.
Marine will be there.
And
He's confirmed.
It'll all be started off with a ride.
Yes.
Headed off by Shiner.
Shiner of Southern Dogs is putting together a pretty nice ride, so we hope that's well attended. But should be a good day. We should be able to raise quite a bit of money for those three charities.
Yeah, we got some good comics coming on for that show as well. At the 7 o'clock hour for a good USO type Bob Hope show. So
Have a swing band.
swing being, yeah, it's
It's
going to be a
just
lot of
gonna
fun.
be a
It's going to be a
great
great day out. It's going to be a great day and it's family friendly, which is even better.
All the
because you
kids
bring
can
the
come
kids.
out,
Yep, you
have a
bring
bounce
everybody out.
house and snow cones and stuff
Yeah.
that little kids like, plus tanks to climb on, and lots of military gear and it's all interactive. You can actually touch the stuff and hold a piece of history.
Right.
So it'll be a great day. I'm excited about
Yeah,
it.
I'm glad to see that at this point in time things are starting to slowly open up. I think we're at 50% now, or are we at 75%? What phase? I don't know what phase we're in. I think we're in phase two.
I don't think we ever followed those rules, did we?
No.
So I have no idea.
No, but I'm saying, like I want to see, start seeing some of the clubs get out there, start doing their rides again, start, backing up with the fundraisers, and really making a difference in their communities, because so much was canceled. We've lost so much time. So all these clubs are losing money that they needed to donate to their organizations. So I can't wait till all this stuff gets back on track and these clubs can get out there and start doing what they do best, So hopefully we will be ending with this COVID soon. What are your thoughts? What do you think? You think we'll be out of this mess, or is this going to push us all the way to the November elections?
No, it's going to fade. It's going to fade a little bit, but it depends on what your activity is. If you're rioting, then you're good for COVID. If you're not rioting, going to the grocery store, then you're having a hard time finding meat. You got to walk in a certain direction in the grocery store. You got to wear your mask.
No, they took those signs off. I went into the grocery stores the other day. They took those one-way signs off.
I was just in there 2 days ago in Walmart, and they still had them on the
wow.
floor.
Oh,
Nobody was paying attention to them.
Yeah,
But-
well, I guess they're still enforcing those one-way rules in Walmart.
Hey, but I had
Kroger's
a
not.
lady ask me in Walmart when I was walking down the aisle. She goes, "Will you please get that bottle of cleaner off the top shelf?" I just happened to have a mop in my hand because I had to use my mop to go 2 aisles over to get my iced tea off the top shelf. I go, absolutely. Stuck it up there, hooked her bottle, brought it down, and said, "That's how I get my tea off the top shelf too." But hey, so people are talking to me in the grocery store again.
Oh, well, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. I mean, it's about time. I mean, and we have to start communicating with other human beings and start being a little kinder to each other while we're out, because people were just really getting fed up and cranky and angry, and it's been turning into a shit show every way you
Hey,
walk.
all is good in my life because although my gym's not open, I've joined a different gym that is open. So for the past 2 weeks, I've been going to the gym, which is fantastic because that was what COVID affected in my life.
The gym.
Yeah,
Yeah.
couldn't go.
I kind of disagree with you a little bit about what will happen, though, because look at how inconsistent everything is.
Well, it'll start back up as the weather cools back down. But during this hot weather, that's just going to go away.
So, well, then answer me this.
All right.
Okay, so Rockwall is going to be starting up the concert by the at the harbor, right? On, I think the 18th might be the first one. It's coming up in a couple of weeks, right? Thousands of people will be out there, no restrictions. They've had protests over there, 4,000 people. Nobody wearing masks. Some people wearing masks, but not everybody. Just free to come and go. Now, the city of Rowlett, a mile away from there, 2 miles across the bridge, right? Take you 2 minutes to drive back and forth. No 4th of July celebration, no none of that stuff. But yet, this Saturday, there's going to be a protest by a certain group, and they're giving their protesters the instructions to wear all black and make sure to, because of COVID, wear your mask. Now, there's just so many inconsistencies in all of these orders from politicians and protesters alike. You know, I think it's going to be all over the board.
Well, honestly, I mean, with the exception of the going to the gym, has anything changed in what you and I or our families have done over
No.
the past 2 months?
No,
No.
we've carried on.
I'm telling you, it's like the flu. If you're sick, stay home. If you've got symptoms, stay home. People are treating this like it's just floating around waiting to find a victim going, oh, there's one. And it just turns on you.
Well, I mean, one, the media hasn't really covered COVID as much with everything that's going on in the news with the riots and the looting and the protests and the funeral, and it's just a constant they bombard you with the bad news, man. They bombard you with such negativity over the last 10 days, 12 days. It's your mental health is so important.
I'll tell you the one thing that I did look up, and I actually looked into it regarding COVID, was that I saw something that somebody posted that Governor Newsom from California is importing COVID-19 victims from Mexico into Riverside County into their hospitals there, which is inundating the hospitals because they're bringing in Spanish speakers that don't speak English. They're having a hard time communicating with them.
Right.
And they're sick. So I thought, that doesn't sound right. I looked at, well, yeah, he actually is doing that because he says there's a problem in Mexicali and they're overcome down there. So he's alleviating because we have a lot of U.S. citizens that live there, or citizens that live there with U.S. citizenship.
Right.
So he's helping out Mexicali by bringing some of their victims up into our hospital, which I don't know, maybe that's just going to increase our numbers, or it's going to help him keep California closed down a little bit longer. I don't know what the logic is there. It doesn't seem like that's something that we should be doing.
No, I think we got to take care. Well, listen, if anybody's sick, I don't know why.
We can send help down there.
Yeah, send help to them.
Yeah.
Send help to them. Don't bring it in.
Yeah.
Go send the doctors over there. Treat them over there. So,
we have a guest in the studio.
Hey. What's going on? Hey, want to welcome into the studio, man, Lil Tex from the Kaotic Angels. Hey, brother, welcome to the studio. Welcome to 99. Don't want to knock out anything? What's going on?
Oh, beautiful day to ride.
All right, man. Well, welcome, Lil Tex from the Kaotic Angels, LEMC. You've been doing so much. We've been talking about COVID. We've been talking about the protests. But that has not slowed you down in your mission, man.
We've grown.
You have definitely said, you know what? I'm putting these protests aside. I'm putting COVID aside. I'm going to help. I'm going to stay focused on my mission, and I'm going to help those who need food and those who need blankets and clothes. Man, what keeps you going? What's your drive, brother? Because it's motivational. It's motivational.
Honestly, knowing that aspect. There we go. Well, my
Up
voice
close
ain't
and
loud
personal.
enough.
No.
You got to talk real close, Lil Tex.
So people that are homeless, whether they're veterans or just anyone, I mean, a lot of times there's always a story behind it.
Right.
And knowing my story and the fact that, I grew up in a house with a bunch of brothers and sisters, and some of those, even my brothers and sisters, ended up on the streets, and I was like this close to ending up on the streets. I know these people sometimes aren't willing to ask for help. So as often as we see it, you know, a little bit of help can go a long way.
Right.
It can change a person's life just like.
Let me interrupt real quick.
Yeah.
I'm getting a message saying you can't hear him. Do we need to turn his mic up a little
No,
bit?
his mic's all the way up.
All the way up?
Uh-oh.
Okay. Directly into it then.
Am I not talking loud enough?
There you go.
You're
All
got
right,
you
there you
now.
go. Yeah, you gotta get close to the mics, man.
Man,
You know,
yeah.
when you got a low voice like you know, you gotta really
I'm gonna turn
power
it towards me. There we go.
there,
I feel like I'm Mick Jagger singing here.
there
You
you
got to
go.
make it tickle your mustache.
Hey,
Oh.
Spaded or Grant, if you guys can hear him, give us a thumbs up.
Man, if y'all can't hear me,
Dean,
open
if you're
ears.
listening, tell us.
They can hear him now.
Okay.
You know,
Okay.
when we spoke with Grant from London,
he's one of the largest driving forces we have over there, and
He
a couple
really
of the
is.
people that he's partnered up with, and just the fact that they don't let anything slow them down. It doesn't matter what the weather's like; they don't care.
yeah,
They're on
yeah.
their bikes, they're riding. They don't care if there's 4 bikes that show up or 25 bikes that show up. They're still going to do their mission.
And that's like I said, in the midst of a pandemic, protests, and everything else that's going on in the world, the Kaotic Angel members are out there making a difference and helping save lives. You guys are out there doing this, and we wish that everybody could be as motivated as you guys. You know, just that's
Well,
you guys
sometimes
spread
you gotta-
positivity, man.
You gotta show people the motivation.
Right.
You know, you can't just talk about it. You gotta. I mean, and don't think that we're the only club that's
Oh
out
no,
there
no, no,
doing
no,
stuff.
no.
I mean, there's all kinds of clubs that are out there feeding, warming and helping people. I mean, Third Watch, Southern Dogs, Nine
Invictus.
Brothers.
Yeah, yep.
I mean, we've seen it from everybody, and it's not just individuals that are being affected. It's matter of fact, I even talked to a facility today. The lady that owned it had to shut her doors, and now she's having to sell her business, and she helps autistic children.
Wow. She's here in the States?
She's here in the Mesquite area. And I was just, I'm like, well, I have an autistic son. I said, I want to be able to bring him here so he can do things and stuff like that. She said, well, we had to shut our doors
Because of
COVID.
Because
And
of
now they're
COVID.
having to sell their building. So, people like that are people we want to help as much as we can.
Yeah, you don't want to see anybody lose a business.
Mm-mm.
You don't want to see anybody have to close their doors.
So last week we heard from Grant about Inedible London and all the remarkable things that your guys over there have done over the last 5 weeks. I think, what did you say, 5,000?
5,000
Was
meals.
it like
5,000 meals.
5,000 or more meals were delivered on a daily basis. So,
Grant even gave away his own lunch.
yeah.
Yeah, 'cause
Yeah.
he ran out of
That's-
meals. He gave away his own lunch.
That guy give you a shirt off his back, literally.
Yeah.
He'll take his shirt
God.
off and hand it to somebody.
So we wanted to, and I don't know if you were able to hear or not, but we gave you props because, as you recall, you were our very first guest
Yes.
on our very first edition of the 99% Radio Network. So it's cool to have you back. But we wanted to have you in today because of what's happened over the last year. You guys, with the addition of the UK Nomad chapter, you guys did WOW 1, which was tremendous and
That was a success.
a huge
Oh,
success. Yeah,
I tell you what, the people that were involved in that, Judy, shout out to you.
Yeah.
She helped me get someone to sign for the shipment overseas, and instead of having to make Grant go and pick it up and drive 4 hours to get it, she got it delivered for free
Well, let's
to
just
his house.
Judy
Let's
makes
just-
a lot of stuff happen.
Yeah, let's just recap on that real quick for anybody who's just tuning in and heard what the WOW 1 program, and you don't know what the WOW 1 program is. I'm going to let Lil Tex just recap on how this started and what the WOW 1 program is, because then it could lead into the rest of the stuff that you're getting into.
Okay. So a couple of years ago, I was invited out to Belgium for a Battlefield Tour ride. And the guys out there were great, but as we were riding around, I found out that England and Europe doesn't have the types of military support systems that we do in the United States.
Right.
So I met Grant, and we hit it off, and I told him, I said, hey, man, I want to come visit England. So he said, come on, we'll get you a bike, we'll go riding. So I did. I went out about 8 months later, and we rode around England, and I saw so many people on the streets.
Is it really that prevalent? Like you're just driving down the road and just people are in doorways and
So,
on
I mean, you were in what, New York?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
you saw how the homeless were out there.
Yes.
There are certain sections to where you have like tent cities, just
Right.
like you would over here. Now they do have, they're large metropolitan areas, so it's not like they don't have shelters and things like that. But it's first come, first serve, and when you have veterans with PTSD, or you have veterans that have attempted to commit suicide or have lost everything because of their PTSD and
Right.
their mental status itself, they're on the streets. No one's going to hire them. No one's going to, especially if they're near aggressive or anything like
Right.
that.
Or even seem it's like
Yeah,
it's like
or even seem like that.
Right.
So, I mean, these guys are shunned to the streets, and I'm sorry, but it gets cold in Texas.
yeah.
It gets cold in New York.
Well,
but my
just
God, England.
getting onto the shelters, and because we've done a couple of homeless events in Fort Worth, and I got to speak to a lot of the homeless off Lancaster Avenue, where there's a lot of missions, and I would ask them, why don't you go into the mission? Why don't you go into the shelter? And a lot of them, one, because it gets violent in there.
Yeah.
It could be violent. And two, you got to think about this. All right, being homeless on the street, you collect things. You have your certain wear and tear items. We all see homeless pushing a shopping cart, carrying those big duffel bags.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. The shelters and the missions will not allow you to bring that stuff inside because of security purposes or bed bugs or fleas or whatever you may be having on those bags. So they don't allow that stuff inside. Now, there's no lockers.
Yeah,
to
where
put
do you
it
put
in.
it?
Where do you put it? So your whole life right now, when you're living on the streets, is in a shopping cart. And if you leave it unattended, guess what?
Somebody's going to
You're going to lose that shopping cart.
Do they do that over there in England? Do they like they
You'll
see over here with the
you'll
shopping
see them
carts
with
and stuff?
you'll see them with the big bags, and you'll see them with you seen those little trolley things they use at the airport. They're not a shopping cart, but they're a cart.
Yeah.
They have a lot of those over there.
Okay.
So I mean, but
I get the impression that they do that because when I was in Europe, they don't really have shopping carts or buggies in stores because you don't shop for 2 weeks at a time. You shop for like 2 days at a
Yeah.
time. So they don't have those carts.
it's not like every store has a big bug. I mean, we walked
Right.
around. I think we went shopping to buy stuff to make dinner and barbecue and stuff to teach them how Texans cook. And we had those little handheld shopping carts to walk around with.
That's it.
And that was it.
That's it.
And you can't even buy a knife without an attendant coming and getting it out of the back. You have a piece of paper with the picture of the knife.
Really?
They won't even let you buy knives. And I'm like, so I guess the one I'm carrying I shouldn't be having on me, huh?
So you're driving around, you see,
So I drove around, I saw these homeless people, and I mean, I even took the time to talk to a couple of organizations over there that were created to help veterans find work and find places to live and things like that. Now, they have a universal health care, so they have no need for a veterans hospital because
Okay.
everybody can get care.
But is the care
is
to
the
par?
care the quality? I'll put it this way. Grant has a boy, and he was born premature. And this little boy, normally you think, okay, they're going to get kids in quick. Yeah, sometimes it takes them 2 weeks to get an appointment.
Wow.
Now, they do have sick care, so if the child's real sick, you can rush them to
Like
the hospital.
emergency care.
But just trying to do checkups and shots and everything else, it still takes time to get in.
So when you talk about the PTSD, especially in our veteran population, right, where they need to go see a psychiatrist or a therapist, and they need to talk to somebody, it could take months before a veteran can get in there just to see a psychiatrist or get his meds, get something.
I mean, I'm a respiratory therapist, and
Right.
while I was over there, when you were a cop, people always walk up to you and say, "Hey, I got a question about this law." It's like people want to walk up to me and say, "Hey, I got this rash," and I'm like, "Really? Don't scratch it. I'm not a doctor." Don't.
Well, so you guys, since let's see, Wild Ones started it was about October, wasn't it?
Yeah, we actually started kind of late. We wanted to try to start earlier, but it was just trying to figure out the logistics. And I was like, you know what?
Did you ever think it would be so hard to just send blankets overseas?
Oh my God! I
Did-
tell you.
Did we
you-
tell people
if-
what that stood for, by the way? If I might
So
have missed
WOW,
Well,
WOW
wow.
stands for Warm Other Warriors. It was designed to be able to provide blankets and some type of assistance with either clothing or blankets. And I think this time, the WOW one, we did nothing but blankets. But man,
Right.
you talk about people sending some blankets. I had some blankets over there. I was like, should I keep that for myself? Because that was a nice blanket. But we had to box everything up. We put everything on a pallet. I got a company that we paid, and honestly, if it wasn't for the V-Rocks donation and there was Whiskers for Warriors, or
Whiskers for
Warriors.
Wounded Warriors, yeah.
They donated some money, and those are the guys that paid for it to get over there. But then we found out because our charity status hasn't been finalized in the UK, we were going to have to pay
Customs?
customs. So Judy found a company that would be willing to foot the bill for the customs and sign for our shipment overseas, and then they hired a truck to take it to Grant's house and drop it at his front door.
Wow.
And then
That-
his house was full of blankets for like 4 days, and it took him 4 days to get all those blankets out.
You know, when you think about this, and, you know, you just what you just said in the span of 3.5 minutes, right?
Mm-hmm.
People are out there going, well, okay, you shipped it. They went over.
No.
That was probably days or weeks and months of phone calls and hours of, you know, speaking to people and trying to get the right person. That was a lot of legwork, a lot of stuff on your part to get this done.
Well, I'll put it this way. It took me 3.5 weeks to find a company that would take my stuff, take all the blankets from the Dallas-Fort Worth area, send it all the way to Georgia, put it on a freight, and then send it from there. Because it's not like you just throw a pallet on a ship.
Right.
Everything goes into cargo containers. Well, we had to find a company that had a little bit of room on a cargo, and then we had to pay that company to let us piggyback.
Right.
And
Right,
then
right.
once it gets over there, it can only stay in the customs area for so many days before they start charging you storage fees.
space.
So, you know, and this company's like, you know, I'll sign for it. Just have them bring us the billing, and boom, they signed for it. We didn't have to pay nothing.
Wow.
And they even footed the bill to drive 4 hours to drop it off.
That's amazing.
So-
See, there are good people out there, man. There are really good people out there to do that.
And Sideshow, I've been told reliably for the next Chaotic Angels 2021 calendar that there's a picture floating around the internet of Lil Tex laying on one of those blankets. I believe it's purple with long white fur or something. I don't know. I'm afraid
That's
to look.
supposed to be one of those secrets that's at the end of the year. You get to open it up, and
That
there's
was
my
a Christmas present, man. You know, like
Dadgummit.
those little doors you open up and you
Doors
get
you open,
chocolate.
yeah.
I think I was told also that the staples were strategically placed to cover. I don't know if that's true or not, but
You know, I got to tell you, we still have, me and Tigger still have at our house, I think I have at least 60 blankets still in our guest room piled up waiting for WOW number 2.
Well, believe it or not, when the club started talking about doing the WOW 2, we've started collecting not only blankets, but we've started collecting things like hoodies, gloves, knit caps, winter socks, shaving kits, toothbrush, toothpaste, anything that we can.
Right.
And out in Alabama, in Florida, and Georgia, my buddy's, his basement is full.
Wow.
We're thinking that we're going to end
You
up
have your
having
own
to use an entire
cargo
container this time.
It will probably be cheaper to do a whole cargo container instead of piggybacking and renting from somebody else, because you know they're marking up that little 10 by 10 spot in their cargo container.
So the goal is we're going to start collecting as soon as possible, and we're not going to ship it out until on the last day to collect is October 31st, Halloween. Halloween will be our last day to collect because we want to be on a freighter before November 15th. This allows 30 days for it to hit the shores of England.
Now, are there going to be collection points
Well,
that here.
We've been trying to decide. I know we're going to try to set up a couple of collection points at some VFWs.
V-Rock.
V-Rock's going to be a collection point. I'm even trying to talk to CC's Pizza, different places where people frequent often. And
Right.
and it's not like they've got to go out and spend $50 on a blanket.
Right.
I think some of these blankets are like $5-6 at
Walmart.
Walmart.
Walmart has them on sale for $2.50.
Yeah, and then
And they're
knit
good
caps,
blankets. They're good blankets.
I don't care if it's got the little furry thing on top. It doesn't matter.
It keeps them warm.
It keeps them warm, and
Right.
that's what matters.
That's right.
So,
Scarves, anything.
so you guys have WoW 1 goes off really well. Guys over in the UK do a great job. You'll be happy to know Jude said she's already working on it.
I know.
Already.
She texting Grant
Yeah,
left and right.
She's on top of that. So that goes real well. Then you get into this Edible London thing, and we were blown away last week when he said they'd fed over 5,000 people with this, and we talked about it in a lot of detail with him. But what we want to talk to you about is what you and I talked about a week or so ago, is your plan to bring that over here and make that happen in some areas that need it here. So why don't you tell us about that plan?
So, Edible London reached out. The gentleman's name is Sonny. He kind of runs the show over there in England.
Now, this is a business, Edible London?
It's a nonprofit.
It's a nonprofit.
It is a nonprofit. They do strictly vegan meals, no meat, everything are vegetables and fruit. Yeah. I mean, we want people to eat healthy, right? Because the United States, obesity runs rampant.
Yeah.
I can't say nothing because
Listen, I don't care what you say, man. I don't want a piece of friggin' lettuce, man. I want a burger. I want a ham sandwich. Screw your vegan shit, man. I want substance.
Well, I'll put it this way. It's easier to do a vegan meal than go out and chase the cows because, man, they're fast over there.
No, I'm just kidding.
So what we're wanting to do is Edible London is talking about investing in their platform to come out here and start in a smaller rural area. And what we're going to do is we're going to find a place where we can grow food. We're going to try to partner.
Mongo's house.
Yeah, we're doing it now.
We're going to try to partner up with places like Walmart and Tom Thumb and Albertsons about taking the perishables off their hands before they spoil because they're just going to throw them away.
Right.
And we're going to take that. We're going to get us some volunteers. We're going to try to find us some veterans that want to learn how to farm. And we're going to put them out there on the land, and we're going to let them work, have a place to live, and get them the help that they need to get back on their feet. But at the same time, we're going to go out and we're going to find people that need help. Okay? A lot of people don't ask for help.
Right.
Pride. But
That's
when you know that there's a mom out there with 6 kids, and these kids are eating cereal 3 times a day because mom can't afford, no.
Right.
This is something that we could take and bring in that family a food, a meal every day, and bring them in a small meal, portioned properly, healthy.
Right.
And hope to get volunteers by doing that. And Edible London has over 4,000 volunteers that do nothing. I mean, it's not like they all work at one time.
Right.
But
Well,
4,000 people volunteer their time to cut up these vegetables and make these little meals and
it
put
takes,
things together.
It takes when 4,000 volunteers. People go, oh wow, they're fully stocked. But you know what? When you think about that, they're not.
Oh no,
Because you rotate people in and out every single day. People got this.
People have jobs,
Remember the
families.
word volunteer, man.
Yeah.
Volunteer. They are out there. Like you said, jobs. So you can get 5 guys today, 5 guys tomorrow, 10 guys next day. Then you get nobody. Who's going to volunteer on Christmas? Sometimes people don't want to volunteer on holidays because
They don't want to
wanna
volunteer when it's bad weather.
They won't. Right. They want to volunteer. So 4,000 is.
That's
it's
quite
a
a
great
bit.
number. It's a great number to have, but don't be fooled. That's still a low number for volunteers throughout the year to keep something going throughout the year.
So what kind of you have a chapter in Alabama, for example, and
Yeah.
I've watched video of some of their rides and some of the places. I don't know where those guys live or where they're set up at, but they ride through some small, very rural communities that don't look like they have a lot of resources. What do you anticipate? What do you anticipate the impact to people in the community that your other chapters are servicing is going to be? Is this going to be something you think that will just take root right away because it's really needed, or how do you see it developing?
Honestly, a lot of that depends on the partnerships that we're able to create. A lot of it is about the givingness of some of these larger corporations that trash food that is perfectly good.
Right.
But because of
because there's a law.
I'll give you a
Actually,
story.
there's a law too.
Well, yeah,
and I think they stop. I think they were able to put a stop to that because of liability purposes. That like I know hotels, they can't give the food away. They have to destroy it
because it's prepared, it's cooked.
Right.
But taking things like fresh vegetables and lettuce and cucumbers and things like that, every store is given what they call must sell by.
Right,
they
right.
must sell by a certain date. But just because they don't sell it by that date, they take that food and they trash it. That food could probably still be good for another week.
Right. Hey, listen, stuff's expired in my refrigerator. I mean, just because the milk's a little thick, it still tastes good.
Well, a prime example is Little Caesar's Pizza.
Right.
I went in the other day, and I was sitting there, and I went in and said, man, that radiant hot pizza. I said, what do you got? He goes, oh, I got this one. He pulls it out, and he scans it, and he goes, oh, it's expired. I go, what do you mean it's expired?
Because it sat outside too much.
And he goes, oh, it's sat here for 30 minutes. And I got pizza in my fridge, been there for a week. I throw it in the microwave, heat it up. It's still good. I ain't died yet.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, but they've got these pizzas, and I've even offered to take those pizzas off their hand.
And they can't do it.
Oh, no.
Oh, they can?
want to, yes.
Oh, wow.
They want
so
to,
they can give
because
you
some of these pizzas, I mean, they're not even 30 minutes old. When they hit 30 minutes, they got to trash them. So why
That's
not?
a lot of wasted food.
Yeah, why not call me and say, hey, I'll give you a receipt and say that this pizza costs this much. You can write it off as a donation, and now you don't lose money when you throw that away. Same thing goes for Walmart.
Right. Dunkin' Donuts does the same thing.
Yeah.
I know that if the
Baird's bread does it.
if the
Day-O
donuts are
bread.
out too long, they end up throwing them out. The breads, right? Even though it says expired by
Right.
this day,
It's
you
not.
know,
I mean,
it's still good. It still could feed for another week.
Yep.
Actually, some of that stuff will even
Especially
last
if you're
well beyond
preparing.
the expiration date.
I was just thinking, as you were talking, Lil Tex, I was thinking of all the clubs that we've had in here that actively feed the homeless, that are actively trying to make a difference, and thinking of some of the characters. And one that popped in my mind was Groot from the Nine Brothers, and Big Love from Invictus, and you. None of those three that I just mentioned look much like a social worker.
Right.
And I forgot to
Or
ask.
none of them look like they have a food problem.
Yeah, but I was just wondering, I forgot to ask Grant this last week. I wanted to ask him, and so I'll just ask you now, though, because the clubs that we're aware of are so successful in this. Obviously, the reception that they've gotten when they do these programs from the public, the people that they're serving, has been really good. But what is the initial reception that you get when someone sees you coming and saying, I'm off? I mean, are they so hungry that they're not even looking? Because, you're obviously not from the government, but you are there to, to
yeah,
help.
but I take 2 steps forward, they take 2 steps back. So, they're a little timid, especially when you've got some food in a bag and you're like, here. And they're
Right,
like, no, I don't
right.
want it. Like you're trying to play a trick on them or something.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen people stand on the corner and, I don't want to just, throw money at people because there's no telling what somebody's going to use that money. I want them to do something to
Right.
feed themselves or something like that. I've rolled into McDonald's and bought a bag full of cheeseburgers and just went and just handed
Handed
them
it
out.
out.
Yeah, I'm like,
Yeah.
man, come on, come eat something.
Get something in your
Yeah.
stomach. Right. I thought you were going in another direction before you dissed him 12.
What, that he doesn't look like a social worker?
Yeah, hey, he's a respiratory therapist. He's going to put a tube down your throat.
Yeah, no, I got a T-shirt that says, if you can read this, you're about to be intubated.
That's right. Yeah, he takes that laryngoscope, puts it in your. No, I thought you were going to go with, when you look at Invictus, when you look at the Chaotic Angels, Nine Brothers, Southern Dogs, all these groups.
Iron Legacy.
Iron
Another one,
Legacy.
yep.
When, right off the bat, I mean, just the 10 groups that are just right here in the DFW area. I mean, there's more than that, but just those 10 that, we can name off the top of our heads. Think about the impact just those 10 do within the DFW area, just the DFW area, and further. But just think about how many people that they provide for in some way or another. The money that is raised for organizations, and we keep harping on this too. I'm telling you this because we want to bring this to the forefront to show that there's millions and millions of dollars being just by 10 groups of 10 clubs, and thousands of people are being fed every day because of the clubs around the DFW area, which is amazing. And we don't track any of that.
No.
And I don't know if there should be a tracking system, because with a tracking system, you can find out, and maybe you can look into bigger businesses that can help donate more.
The one thing that you're referring to is you notice that, Dallas-Fort Worth, there's a large homeless population. A lot of them are veterans. But government is, there are several organizations that are given millions upon millions of dollars to do stuff for people. The problem is that those millions of dollars pays for all
salaries.
These employees and salaries.
And locations.
It doesn't go to anybody. We're doing this stuff out of our house. We're using our own money or what little bit of money we can get people to donate.
Right.
We set up tents in different places. As a matter of fact, I bought a 2010 Big Dog motorcycle, customizing it, and we're going to raffle it off to raise money to do stuff. So that's $10,000 out of my pocket.
Wow.
To help. And my thing is that it's all about giving back. I loved it. A week ago, I was in Starbucks, and I started a chain or something because the little girl called me later, and she said, 9 people paid for the other car. Because I paid for one car, and that guy paid for it, and it did it like 9 times. And I was just like, cool.
Wow. See, and that's good, though. That's good. You need someone to get that ball rolling. You need someone to start, because a lot of people do not know how to even begin to volunteer. I mean, it comes natural to a lot of us because we've been around it.
Public servant.
Public service. But there are people out there like, I don't know how to even begin to start collecting or volunteering, and there's so many different ways. And when
our
you're
website has a list of organizations that you can donate to or you can contact. Third Watch, we have everything from the Child Advocacy Center in Rockwall that helps children that are abused. I link all these websites in as much as I can to get people that if they go to our site, there's other they don't have to give to us, but there's somebody out there you can give to where the money truly matters versus paying someone's salary.
Right. The economic impact that 99% clubs create. You mentioned the Child Advocacy Center in Rockwall. I saw Mad Dog from America's Guardians on here a little while ago. All the money that they raise when they do their Teddy Bears for Tykes run, all of these clubs. It wasn't that long ago we were talking about Iron Legacy. They raised over $50,000. The stuff that Blue Deos does in Ireland,
buying the medical equipment.
5,000 meals. If you even put a value of like $3 a meal on that, not counting all the time and effort it took to go get that stuff, the stuff you're trying to do with your U.S. chapters, and on, that number is astronomical. It's got to be astronomical.
It's got to be. And COVID, this lockdown, severely impacted so many lives through those fundraising efforts. Because a lot of clubs were unable to participate and do what they normally do around the clock or throughout the year for these organizations.
I don't know how many rides did we have canceled.
A bunch.
I mean, the Chic Ride. The Chic Ride.
Seek Riders.
Seek Ride. Yeah, the Seek
Ride.
Ride.
Them guys always go, because the food they put out, my goodness.
But that's a big money raiser.
And not just this is across the country. I mean, you look and overseas. Our friends in Italy, they're Doomstriker, Gunslingers, Shotgun, Praetorian. They're all doing very similar things, and I think you hit the nail on the head when you said millions of dollars.
I think it's
worth of charity come from guys that look like us.
If we saw just one third of what the government gives other organizations, and they were to give it to an organization that is full of nothing but volunteers, that money would make a greater impact than half
Right.
of those companies out
Well,
there.
that's why I'm saying. That's why I was saying, if we, as a brotherhood, if you start tracking every year, each club submits to a council on the volunteer hours that they put in, the money that they raised. Not to audit them, but when you take that and you bring it to a Walmart, or you bring it to a Target, or one of these big food centers, or any type of donation, somebody that's going to donate to you, and you say, hey, listen, we put in 1 million hours of volunteer work. We've raised without you this much. This is what we do. Those companies are probably be more willing to donate a lot more for you than us walking in going, hey, we're having a fundraiser. They're like, all right, yeah, there's a couple of cans of soup. If we track that money, well, I don't want to say track, if we log our hours of volunteerism and we kind of show how much money we've raised on our own, that helps big corporations make the decision saying, hey, we'll donate to them. Let's give them another, extra.
You know what the good thing is, though, is guys like Lil Tex, and I know this for a fact, and I think it's probably true of all the groups that we know, and I'm guessing it's probably the same for the clubs overseas. Having a corporate donor that wants to help you out once you've earned their trust is a good thing, but in the absence of that, guys like Lil Tex and the Nine Brothers with the food pantry over there in Saxey and Wiley, Shiner with BAB, they're always coming out of pocket.
Right.
In the absence of that donor or a business to give them the money, they're coming out of pocket, and they're willing to do it over and over again, because this benevolent giving, this caring about their community, this making a difference in their community, is something that they take to heart. It's not fake. It's not a target of opportunity. It's the way that they live their life and conduct their business as a club, each one with their own interests, but they're willing to put their money where their mouth is.
Right.
There's actually a business in England. I won't say the name right yet because it's still in the works, but we've already started getting samples of apparel that they are giving to us. They are designing with their graphic designers. They're making everything from like bandanas to hoo-rags to T-shirts to hats. You name it, they're trying to make it. They've even offered to sell it in their online store and give us 100% of the sales.
Wow.
They're willing to ship stuff to the United States for the chapters over here, and for England, for us to be able to earn money by taking donations and being able to give someone a hat for their donation or give someone a T-shirt for their donation.
Well, I'm going to cut you off real quick because we got a commercial break.
Can I give a shout out real quick before you do it?
Yeah, go ahead.
One of my favorite people, and another guy that gives from the heart, out of his pocket a lot. He actually hooked us up with the Sikh Riders early on, and that's Jimbo. Jimbo, good to see you on here. Hadn't seen you in a while, so a shout out to you, brother. Hope you're doing well.
All right. Once again, this is 99% Radio Network with Lil Tex from the Kaotic Angels, here broadcasting live from Globe Life Park in Arlington, Texas, the heart of the entertainment district. You are listening to Fishbowl Radio Network. We'll be back right after this.
Hey, this is Dominic Lawson of The Startup Life, the show for entrepreneurs and career-minded
Come on in
professionals.
and take a trip down memory lane in Garland, Texas at TLC on the Lake, located at 4881 Bass Pro Drive. Step in and enjoy our made-from-scratch meals. It'll make you feel like you're back in Grandma's kitchen.
So if you are ready to be about that life, be about The Startup Life on Fridays at 12 p.m. here on the Fishbowl.
Our friendly staff is always ready to serve you and take care of your every need. Enjoy your meal on our outside deck while overlooking the beautiful views of Lake Ray Hubbard. If you're out with the family or hosting a corporate event, visit TLC on the Lake or give us a call at 972-203-8512.
Dr. Lasagna Ivory for Duncanville ISD School Board, Place 4, Election Day, May 2nd, 2020. And early voting begins April 20th. I'm not just passionate, I'm prepared. I'm Lasagna Ivory, and I approve this message.
Fifth Avenue Nutrition of Garland is a twist on your normal coffee or donut shop. Serving coffee, teas, shaved ice, and delicious ice cream shakes, pastries, and muffins, Fifth Avenue offers a wide variety of delicious drink concoctions, ranging from specialty coffee, nitro brews, meal replacement ice cream shakes, to energy-boosting fruit-flavored teas. At Fifth Avenue, we proudly serve T Black Rifle Company brand coffee. At Fifth Avenue, we back our blue by offering free coffee to all uniformed members of the service. Visit us at 414 West Avenue D, Garland, Texas. Open from 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Saturday. Hop in and see us. We have a bright idea to make you healthy, delicious, and fun.
You send her PayPal and she hook you up with the progress.
All right.
And I got my stuff within 4 weeks.
Are we back?
Nope, not yet.
About
I'm
10
just trying to
minutes,
get- I'm
we'll
trying to
finish
get
up where you're going to go with it.
What kind of artwork do you have to send to her?
I just sent her our club logo.
This is Jay Dobbins, and I love the 99% Radio Network. Do yourself a favor and start listening today, right now, and every day. Tune into these guys and make yourself better.
All right, welcome back to the 99% Radio Network, broadcasting live in the Fishbowl. We are listening to Lil Tex from the Kaotic Angels here in the studio, telling us about all the programs that they have been working on throughout the year, here and abroad. Man, the Warming Our Warriors one program was a success. We're going into the Edible London on our next thing, and then the Warm Our Warriors 2, or is that going to be all the
no,
same?
It's going to be Warm Our Warriors 2.
And
So,
and
you know, if you've got donations, you can drop them off at the V-Rock. You can drop them off at the Garland VFW. Was it post? What's the
5076?
5076.
Yep.
You can drop stuff off there and just tell them it's for the Kaotic Angels. And then as soon as we start getting different spots opened up to take stuff, we'll give y'all lists. So every week you can let people know where they can drop stuff off. And then we'll finalize everything on October 31st. We'll collect everything from Georgia, Florida, Alabama, and Texas. And if it's got to go on an entire container, then we'll start asking for donations to pay for it.
Hey, well, we definitely showed that we could get it done.
Oh yeah.
So I'm entirely confident. It might take some
It's all about
finagling,
finagling,
but
yep.
we can get that. You'll get it done, and you'll have plenty
Is
of
that
help.
a Texas word?
Yeah.
Finagling? Yeah.
Finagling?
You have to teach Grant that word. Finagling.
Finagle.
I was
Forget
laughing-
about it.
I was.
Forget
you
about
have
it.
to teach him that one too.
Forget about it. Finagle.
I was laughing earlier because
We're not going to sing no fugazi shit.
Little Texas wore off on him because he was using y'all. Now I never heard an English guy or
It's
preacher
funny.
say y'all.
Oh,
right?
my God.
So, but he was
Yeah.
he was using y'all.
He is a character, man. He is a character. But a blessed character to know him. Everything he does over there is just amazing. And,
Oh, I
and
tell
the
you
group,
what,
group of guys he has.
I am truly humbled at the fact that even during COVID, we've been able to grow our membership, and we've been able to help more and more people because we've gotten more and more people involved. You know, I mean, you figure the first time we went out with Edible London, you know, we only fed a few hundred people, but we were unsure what to expect. So,
Right.
you know, not very many people showed up. And then the next week, we did it again, and we did 1,500 people. Then the next week, we did 18. I mean, it's just
keeps growing.
It just keeps growing.
You know, and we praise everybody that's doing this, but when you think about how those numbers are rising, how sad that is.
Yeah.
When you look at, you know, you fed 1,800 people or 5,000 people. That means 5,000 people on the face of this earth, just in that community, just in that area, we're going to go hungry.
Right. Or
If
they were going to eat something that could have came out of a trash can.
Right. I don't think people know the impact, because we we get very, I don't want to say complacent, but we get very comfortable that we can wake up in the middle of the night and go to our refrigerator and grab a glass of milk, or go into our pantry and grab a couple of cookies, or make a sandwich. You know, these things seem like just like taking a breath of air, man. It seems that it comes so natural. You know, the people that are living on the streets, they are fighting for their next meal. That's got to be a horrible feeling. Imagine it's like grasping for air if you're drowning, and not know where your next meal is going to come from, not to know where your next glass of water is going to come from. Now let's talk about medication. Let's talk about health care for these people that are out on the street. A lot of them are denied it, or don't have the means to get to a hospital. So, you know, what you guys are doing for this community is you're saving lives. You're not only making a difference by putting food in their stomach, you're saving lives. You're saving 5,000 lives at a time. If you look at it in that retrospect, you're keeping them warm and fed. Things that kill people.
We're not taking these meals and dropping them off at a shelter.
Right.
These are people on the street, sitting on the sidewalks with cardboard signs asking for help. And when these guys ride around, they see it. They make 8-9 trips to pick up food. Each person can hold over 10 to 15 meals, and they drive around.
Right.
So, you know, they're taking not only their time, but they're putting miles on their bike. They're spending the money for the fuel.
Right.
And, you know, they ask for nothing. These volunteers ask for absolutely, well, they like free hats. So,
you know, I get this a lot too, because, you know, anytime you pull up to a corner and even over here in Dallas or Fort Worth, you know, there's a guy on the corner, you know, at the stoplight, and they'll be holding a cardboard sign, vet, homeless, whatever it is, and please, you know, and they're always respectful on the corners. So you give them $5, you give them a $10 bill if you have it, you know, to go get something. And people used to say, how do you know he's even a vet? How do you know he's not going to spend that money on drugs or spend his money on alcohol? And, you know, I thought about it. I said, I don't really care what he spends it on. You know, I'm hoping he's going to spend it on food. I hope he's going to spend it on, you know, something that's going to better his life. But you know what? I'm not going to take that chance and automatically think he's going to spend it on drugs and spend it on booze, right? So I'm going to give him that money, and I'm going to let him go buy a meal, right? It's not my place to judge.
I mean, I guess I'm a little naive because I have the retrospect to believe that, you know, when there's someone on the streets bearing the heat of the day, and you don't see them sitting there snacking. You don't see them sitting there. I mean, they're dirty. They stink. Okay, trust me, it takes a couple of days to get that way. If they're driving, I mean, I have seen shows where they've busted people.
Oh, yeah, walking into their Mercedes. Right.
Look at what they look like. They only have like tattered up clothes. It's not like they're dirty and they smell.
Right.
So I don't mind if I see a guy sitting there and he
I'll
needs $5. Here, man, here's $5.
Yep.
That barely buys him a Happy Meal.
Right. Right.
So it's not like he's getting a big meal for $5.
Right. That's my way of looking at it, man. It's not me to. I'm not here to judge you. You know what I saw too? A lot of the homeless, and I saw this when I did the Lancaster food drive. A lot of them have pets.
Yes.
A lot of them have, you know.
Believe it or not, without that pet,
yeah.
they'd probably die.
So what I didn't realize the first time we went out there to feed the homeless, right, is that I should have brought a 50-pound bag of dog food.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, a whole bunch of
because they'll give half
snacks.
Their meal. They'll give half their meal to their
right.
Yeah.
You know, and so me and my wife, the next time we did that, we filled up gallon freezer bags with dog food, and because everybody's sitting, you know, on Lancaster, a lot of them are in their cars. They're living in their cars too on the side of the road, but their dogs are in there. We were just handing out dog food and dry dog food and bones and stuff for the animals, because, like you said, if you give them a hamburger, they're splitting that meal with their pet. You know, that's their family.
To them, that is their lifeline.
Yeah.
To sanity. I mean, they talk to these animals. They treat them just like another human being.
Yep.
They don't have social interaction, and they don't have that physical touch with a significant other. This pet, this animal, is their life.
Right.
And they live to keep that dog or cat happy.
So you guys have the Kaotic Angels, LEMC. You guys have been immensely successful with both of these programs. You're bringing it to the U.S. and from what in the discussions you and I have had about it, I'm very excited for the success of the program here. Certainly need for it. How can the people that are listening, if they want to be a part of either program, how could they get in touch with you? How could they learn more about what you guys have going on?
Okay, well, I'll put it out there. You can go to our website, chaoticangelslemc.com, and there is a little thing that says Ride With Us. Click it. You can send me a personal note. It also has my cell phone number. You're more than welcome to text me. But I would be looking for people that have farming experience that could help teach someone else about soil and planting and everything else that comes with farming. Looking for people that have land that they are, would be willing to either lease or donate Edible London's talking about investing. So, they're looking at getting investors to help buy land. You can't do that in England. Over in England, it's an island. I mean, there's only so much land, so they have to
Texas
work out
is
a
full
warehouse.
of land.
Texas got full land. It wouldn't. How hard would it be to start a small farm somewhere just to help feed a small community?
Yeah.
It sounds easy, but there's a lot of work, and I would need help doing it. I mean, honestly, I'm a respiratory therapist. I'm an ex-police officer, ex-military.
Go Navy.
Go. I've never farmed in my life. My farming is walking through the produce aisle at Walmart. All right, half of those I can't even name. I know eggplants,
arugula.
It's somebody asked
vegetable.
me if I knew what a plantain was. I thought it was talking about a plantation. I didn't know what a plantain was. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, I found out real quick what those were. Then I found out you have to cook them.
Yeah,
I just thought they were brown
like hard
bananas.
as a rock or something.
Did you put his website on there?
Huh?
Did you put it on there?
No, not yet.
Give it to him one more time.
Chaotic Angels, LEMC, and Kaotic is spelled with a K. Kaotic. Angels, ANGELS.
That's .com?
LEMC.com.
So
you can find us on Facebook. We have our UK chapter. They have their Facebook page. We have our Facebook page. You can find us on Twitter. You can find us on, I think we're doing some YouTube videos now so we can show people what we're doing.
Getting into the TikTok?
Yeah, well, I don't know what is. No, I ain't doing no TikTok. I saw that before. I mean, we're doing what we can to get sponsors anywhere we can to help us. Whether it be if you've got a small building for us to prepare food out of. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I'm going to use my house, and a couple of other members, we're going to use their house. We'll package up small vegan meals. Just want everybody to know there ain't no steak tartare and no chicken a la king and no tilapia. Yeah.
Won't you give us real quick the how someone could get? I think it's under Chaotic Angel Nomads is the Facebook page.
ChaoticAngelNomads.uk is the Facebook page.
But because we have a lot of listeners in Europe and maybe they're listening right now,
guys
and they
Los
might
Saints,
want to.
The guys out of Locks and Bikes.
All the
Germany,
groups
I mean,
that you
oh
rode
gosh.
with on the
Green
World War I
Knights,
tour.
Red Knights, all those guys are great. And it was kind of crappy that they had to cancel the Battlefield tour for this year. But next year we're looking forward to doing the Battlefield tour again and meeting all those guys again. Last year was awesome. Over 200 people showed up, and there was like 35 clubs. So
wow.
Networking is everything in this area.
Well, you guys are certainly doing a great job, Lil Tex. I'm glad to call you a friend and brother, and the Kaotic Angels are certainly kicking ass when it comes to feeding the homeless, and this program y'all got with WOW 1 and WOW 2 coming up is great.
Yeah, we'll keep on top of that as well.
We want to stay on top of that. Appreciate the fact that you support the show and the guys over in England. We appreciate their support as well. So thank you very much for taking the time to come in today and talk about this. And this is very cool.
Just so you know, we're just following your lead.
Nah, that ain't so.
You inspired me, so now I must inspire others.
Well,
there you go.
I'm truly humbled.
Make that ripple effect. That's a ripple
my
effect
boss
we
would
want.
say that's when you turn and you say, thank you very
you.
much, brother.
Thank
You know
you,
I
brother.
love you. Thank you so much for what you do.
That's a great ripple effect, man. Thank you very much, Lil Tex. Lil Tex with the Kaotic Angels, man. We got to thank him tremendously for everything that he's been doing here and abroad. So check out their website at www.chaoticangellemc.com, and we will keep you updated on the donation process for the WOW 2 program that should be coming up, and those collection sites. But right now we are going to take another break, and then we're going to come into the monologue, so stay tuned.
Come on in and take a trip down memory lane in Garland, Texas at TLC on the Lake, located at 4881 Bass Pro Drive. Step in and enjoy our made-from-scratch meals. It'll make you feel like you're back in Grandma's kitchen.
We've adopted through our military service. Our knowledge of military VA benefits is what stands us apart from civilian.
Our friendly staff is always ready to serve you and take care of your every need. Enjoy your meal on our outside deck while overlooking the beautiful views of Lake Ray Hubbard. If you're out with the family or hosting a corporate event, visit TLC on the Lake or give us a call at 972-203-8512.
Believe we have technical problem.
Yeah, I think so.
Was that all?
Oh, we're back, man. I'm sorry we had a little technical problem, so let's roll right in with the monologue.
Mongo! Santa Maria!
I'll believe it. And maybe one of you friends and neighbors kind of gather around and holy shit!
Here comes Mongo!
All right, everybody, here we go. On Monday, May 25th, George Floyd was captured on video being restrained by Minneapolis police officers and ultimately dying while in their custody. The police were seen in a very unflattering video holding him to the ground and presumably suffocating him and killing him. Since then, there have been protests, which have escalated into riots. Every night, in many cities across the United States and around the world, protesting the police and supporting Black Lives Matter. Local police administrators, local politicians, state-level politicians, national-level politicians, the news media, celebrities, professional athletes, and people that are held in high esteem within our society have been encouraging, supporting, and in some instances, participating in these protests and riots. Don't get me wrong, I do not agree with or support what happened to George Floyd. I do agree with and support lawful and peaceful protests. Lawful, peaceful protests are protected under the First Amendment of the Constitution. Rioting, looting, vandalism, and injuries to citizens and police officers is not lawful, nor do I support this type of activity. The more I did research for this monologue, the more angry I became. It's quite evident from the facts. The mob does not have their facts straight. It's like the story of the emperor's new clothes. It's popular and easy to go along with what everyone is saying and just ignoring the facts. So I'm sure that as I write this and as you listen to me read this, I'm going to piss a few people off. All I can say is sometimes the truth hurts, but sometimes you have to hear it from somebody before you're willing to open your eyes and believe what's right in front of you. A lot has been said recently about the systematic problems of racism and excessive force in law enforcement. Our elected officials are quick to blame systematic racism. Their solutions seem to be to defund the police, institute civilian oversight, or in some cases disband the police. I remember when our nation was attacked by Muslim extremists and hijacked airliners. We were told to never forget, but we're also told to not blame all Muslims. Well, here are my thoughts about law enforcement. I spent 25 years in this profession. I grew as a man. I learned a lot about people. I provided for my family, and I left the job permanently injured and with a serious dislike for the human race. The hiring process for law enforcement, and I won't go into it, does a really good job of identifying individuals with undesirable prejudices. The academy weeds out those who don't have the capacity to learn the job, and finally the field training process completes the initial cleansing of undesirable candidates. Add to this a probation period after field training that allows officers to be fired for cause if they screw up. Now, after all this, it usually takes an officer 5 years or more to be truly competent in their job. During an officer's career, they're doing things, seeing horrific things, and having experiences that really can't be talked about in mixed company. Hang on a second. I don't have an easel hole on my papers. And I don't have this memorized.
Can I help you there?
You can hand me the sheets as I get to the bottom. That'd be helpful.
I'll help.
All right.
You're going to let him do that? He's going to mess them all up.
He'll mess it all up. We aren't being dispatched to calls for service because somebody wants to tell us how grateful they are for their life or for our service. We're going on calls for service because someone has a problem that they can't solve or that has rendered them the victim of a crime. This leads to too many problems for the officer that we as a profession are just beginning to address. A post-traumatic stress injury is a very real phenomenon and is claiming the lives of more officers at their own hands than ever before. A career in law enforcement is not for the faint of heart. We as an entire society have changed so much over the past 20 years. The applicants that are applying for the jobs in law enforcement have also changed. Our younger generation, our youth, has become a video game generation, where no matter what you do or what mistakes you make within the game, you're given a redo to try over or to make it to the next level. This is in every game from a simple Mario Brothers game to a battlefield conflict. Make no mistake, today's video games are not like the original video games that we middle-aged adults played at home as children. Playing Pong on the Atari 2600 is nothing like playing a video game on a platform such as Xbox or PlayStation today. In the game of Grand Theft Auto, you can play a thief, a thug, a murderer, enjoy wreaking havoc on society with no real consequences. I, however, think there are consequences. In the video game Grand Theft Auto, you can slap around a prostitute, steal property from her, punch her to the ground, and then speed away in a car that you just stole from somebody after shooting him in the head and killing him. Now, does playing a video game make you a bad person? Nope, not necessarily. But within this game alone, we've allowed the video babysitter to entertain our children for several hours every day. My personal feeling is eventually that begins to seep into the psyche of the real person playing the game. Will this manifest itself later? I don't know. I'm not a psychologist and I don't play one on TV. Again, this is just one of my opinions on the modern police applicant. We've done other things in our culture over the past 20 years. Many children are no longer required to recite or understand the Pledge of Allegiance. I learned and understood what each word of the Pledge of Allegiance stood for in my early elementary school experiences. I learned early on to respect and honor the flag that flies over our nation. Any reference that may have been made to God and the Ten Commandments, to include the Golden Rule, has been removed from our schools. Liberal America conveniently quotes the Constitution when it comes to the separation of government, religion, and education. I just said conveniently quotes the Constitution because in most other instances they seem to ignore the Constitution. In my opinion, and it is my opinion, teaching children about the Golden Rule and teachings from the Bible is not what the Constitution limits regarding religion. The Constitution says that the government cannot endorse a specific religion. Teaching our children to be good people can only have long-term effects. Now, if the school wants to teach our children about the teachings of the Quran and the Muslim religion, well, liberals will conveniently forget about the Constitution and their definition of the separation of church and state. When it comes to Islam, we can do that all day. That's apparently different, but if I continue along this tangent, I'll be on a different subject. In addition to these changes, we've become a culture of everyone winning. We can't have competitive events in elementary schools, such as foot races, relay races, or dodgeball tournaments, where the first place participants receive a ribbon and the winner and those who don't win don't get an award. We live in the culture of everyone receiving a trophy, a pat on the behind, and a hearty congratulations for trying really, really hard.
I don't think you can pat on the behind anymore. I think that's offensive and deemed wrong.
Well, and that's another subject altogether, but you're right. So let's not pat him on the behind. We'll pat him on top of the head condescendingly and say, good job.
Oh, treat me like a dog.
Many school districts have eliminated history lessons. Students don't understand what previous Americans have gone through, have endured, and have fought to ensure that the American lifestyle and the rule of law under the Constitution will continue for future generations to appreciate. The American culture, for whatever reason, has drastically changed. There was a time when a career in law enforcement meant you were a pillar of society and that you were sworn to protect. You, as an officer, were appreciated by the adults in society and looked up to by the children in society. It was not only a career, it was a lifestyle and one to be proud of. Today, unfortunately, many officers take this job for much different reasons. Some take this job because it usually comes with good medical benefits. Add to this, many departments have gone to a 12-hour shift, which allows the officers to have 4 days a week off to pursue their true passion. For many officers today, being an officer is the side job, and the medical benefits that fit in nicely with their contractor's job or the real estate profession, or you name the job, the one that really they want, but it doesn't come with the benefits. Many of today's police applicants live at home with their parents, go to school, and are taken care of by their parents to age 25 to 30. The job in law enforcement is the first real experience they've ever had. Can you imagine what I just said? These young officers are being thrust into a career where they're dealing with other people's problems, and they've never even dealt with their own problems. When I was a field training officer, I trained many officers that had never been in a fist fight, rarely engaged in an argument of any consequence, and were completely blindsided with having to deal with someone else's problems. The screening process used to weed these candidates out has gone through many changes. The candidate that I just described usually comes with a college education and no life experience. The personnel and training divisions of various departments love the qualities of these applicants. And by these qualities, I mean a college degree, regardless of what that degree happens to be in. Additionally, along with American culture changing, the police administration's expectations.
And we're being told we got a bad echo. Maybe we need to change the angle of your mic, brother.
All right. And the requirements to hire candidates as police officers has also changed. I used to always say that our personnel and training division were trying to hire angels to do the devil's work. If personnel and training found a candidate that was squeaky clean, that person was golden. If they found a candidate that might have done a few questionable things in their youth or during their years of service, or maybe some crazy things in college, those candidates were frowned upon throughout the hiring process. Here's the point that I'm getting at with this culture change in America. We are bringing people into this profession that have no real-life experience. They do not have any experience dealing with adversity. This job is hard enough for those individuals that have actually dealt with adversity throughout their lives and through their young adult experiences. Add to this, these innocent young people coming into this profession that have no idea what they're getting into. Really, it's no wonder that PTSI has become such a hot topic. This type of injury has existed for a long time. For the most part, it's been dealt with internally by the individual based on their vast life experiences. Today, we have a completely different set of circumstances coming into the job and less ability to cope with this psychological injury. Additionally, PTSI has been around for a long time. It's not just talked about, but it's not just been talked about until recently. Don't get me wrong, I'm not making a blanket statement about all police applicants. We still have applicants that are military veterans. They have deployed forward and into combat zones. They've had jobs and families and dealt with life's issues. But these applicants are now the rare breed. It's the young, wide-eyed, inexperienced applicant that are filling the ranks of the veteran officers as they retire. PTSI does exist within the profession of law enforcement, and it needs to be addressed in an open and candid manner. The politicians have it wrong as usual. They would create an environment with their policies and rhetoric where no one will want to do this job. Just think of the shit show that will create. My brothers and sisters on the thin blue line, whether they admit it or not, are at risk every day. In addition to the expected dangers, I'm talking about being a target, literally. The physical hardships of this profession, the mental anguish of the profession. PTSI is a daily threat to this profession. This is a systematic problem. Don't hold every officer accountable for the actions of a few bad actors that have made it through the cracks and do not represent the majority of police officers. A study by Rutgers University School of Criminal Justice shows that African Americans are 2.5 times more likely to be killed by the police than white people. A different study conducted by Michigan State University School of Psychology found violent crime rates and the racial demographics of a given location are better indicators for determining a police killing than the victim's race. In reality, in about 75% of police shootings, the decedent is not black. The fact of the matter is, regarding police versus black shooting incidents, the majority of these incidents are of an armed, violent suspect. As I said before, numbers can be manipulated to give you the outcome that you seek. In the case of officer-involved shootings, variables such as population, the race of the police officers involved, crime rates, demographics of the locations where officer-involved shootings occur, and all affect the outcome that is being sought. Here's a crime statistic that you are not likely to hear the media talk about. In 2016, whites were the victims of homicide 3,499 times. 2,054 times another white person was a suspect. Only 533 of those white people were killed by a black person. Now here's the one that's really shocking. In 2016, 2,870 black people were murdered. 243 times it was done by a white person, but 2,570 times it was committed by a black person. So to listen to the news, you would think that police officers are going out and killing a black person every day. That, in fact, is not happening. But black people are being killed every day by other black people, just as white people are being killed by other white people. But it's the systematic racism in law enforcement that's the problem. By the way, that last sentence was sarcasm. Statistically, here are the number of people shot to death by police officers from 2017 to June 5, 2020, by race. In 2017, 457 white people were killed by police. 223 black people were killed. In 2018, 399 white people were killed by police. 209 black people were killed. In 2019, 370 people were killed. White people were killed by the police. 235 people were killed by black people were killed by the police. I just picked it up. It sounds a lot better in my ear now. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Find out where we are. I'll go back. Okay. In 2019, 370 white people were killed by the police, and 235 black people were killed by the police. In 2020, up until June 5, 172 white people have been killed by the police, and 88 black people have been killed by the police. Now, like I said, numbers can be manipulated. There are many more white people in the United States than there are African American or black people in the United States. However, in a city where the majority of citizens are black, take Baltimore for example, more black people will become victims of crimes and more black people will be suspects in crimes. Baltimore will always have a higher rate of black people getting arrested, always have a higher rate of black people getting stopped, and will always have a higher rate of black people getting killed, not only by other black people but by the police. The reason for this statistical anomaly is because a city with those characteristics will always have a higher rate of blacks committing crimes. Nationwide, black people commit a grossly disproportionate amount of crimes than white people. Data from the FBI shows that nationwide blacks commit 5,173 homicides in 2014. Whites committed 4,367. Chicago's homicide death toll is almost equal to that of both wars in Iraq and Afghanistan combined. The death toll in Chicago from 2001 to 2015 stands at 7,401. The combined deaths during both Operation Iraqi Freedom 2003 through 2015 is 4,815, and Operation Enduring Freedom in Afghanistan between 2001 and 2015, 3,506, making a total of 8,321. Those numbers are not police officers killing black people. Those numbers are primarily black people killing black people, but nobody seems to care about that, least of all BLM movement. The BLM, do you want to talk about black people being killed? Protest black people killing black people. Protest Planned Parenthood and hundreds of thousands of abortions performed on black females every year. Those black deaths don't seem to matter, only the very few that unfortunately occur at the hands of the police. I gave the raw numbers on people killed by the police from the years 2017 to 2020, and the raw numbers alone show that more white people are killed by the police than black people in every one of those years. Now, based on those numbers, what are we not seeing? We are not seeing the media. We're not seeing politicians. We're not seeing douchebags, know-it-all celebrities coming out of the woodwork talking about the white people killed by the police. Believe me when I tell you this, the police don't want to kill anybody. We are taught to use deadly force in an effort to save our lives or the life of citizens, primarily as a last result, and usually at great danger to ourselves. According to the FBI, the number of violent assaults against law enforcement has dramatically risen. Surprisingly, the number of police shootings has decreased. Now I'm going to give you a short dose, but a very real dose, history lesson in police work. You hear it said in the field by suspects, and you hear it said on TV shows and movies. The police profiled me. Well, although racial profiling is not allowed, any police officer worth his salt does profile people. After you've done this job long enough, you learn what to look for, you learn what to look at, you learn when to look at it. To use the media buzzword that is profiling, you're probably not going to find a middle-aged plump grandmother driving an Astrovan muling cocaine and weapons. So short of some egregious traffic violation, that's not what I'm looking for when I'm on patrol pushing a radio car. I was, however, looking for gangbangers, meth heads, parolees, and yes, parolees have a certain look, or other various dregs of society to make contact with. I had a better chance of finding narcotics, stolen property, guns, or various other items that would ultimately lead to an arrest or further investigation. So yes, I did profile. A good cop does. That's part of learning the job. I'm just going to touch on this last subject very briefly because this may be a monologue in and of itself later on. We've heard a lot about defunding or disbanding the police. I've seen a lot of conversations on social media about defunding the police and what can be done with the funds that we've taken away from the police. We can invest those funds in community programs to prevent crime. Let me just say we already have one of those programs. It's called the education system in America. You go to school, you learn your subjects, you continue going to school, you get a job, you get a better job, and pretty soon you're part of the American dream. It's nobody's fault but your own if you choose not to take advantage of the education that's offered for free in this country. And make no mistake, when I say offered for free in this country, I'm talking about education that's provided by our tax dollars. So if you're in the lower tax bracket, it's technically free to you. It's not free to everyone, but I call it free because that's what we do. Disbanding the police? What a shit show that would be. Look at all the crime in America today with law enforcement present. Can you even begin to imagine what life would be like in America without the police? Watch the movie Black Hawk Down and see how the Somali warlords ran that country, because that's what you'll get here. Look what's happening right now with law enforcement every night with these riots. I don't know that it's so much that the police are being overwhelmed at these riot locations so much as they're being ordered to stand down by their administration and politicians. But it's getting to the point where the president needs to invoke the Sedition Act and bring in the military. But I will leave that subject alone because that too might be a monologue for later on. The false narratives in the media and elsewhere designed to increase racial divide must stop. Police are not responsible for the socio-economic conditions that are the basis of much of the problem. Overall, law enforcement will continue evolving and improving for the better. It's time for society to look inward and do the same. I'm going to end this monologue with a poem that was posted from a very old friend of mine. He's a fellow Marine and retired CHP officer who retired as a Central California Division commander. He was introduced to me after his first shooting. I had recently gone through the same type of incident, and his boss wanted him to talk to me as a fellow Marine, a fellow officer, and having just gone through the same incident myself. After not seeing each other for many years, when he heard that I had been shot and was in the hospital, he immediately drove down to see me while on duty. True brothers will always respond to help each other, and Marines never leave Marines behind. So here's the poem that he posted. And I've seen it several times from other people that have posted it since him, but his was the first one. You hate me because I wear a badge. Let me tell you about the badge and the thousands of men and women that it represents. This badge ran toward certain death as the towers collapsed on 9/11. This badge ran into the line of fire to save people in the Pulse nightclub. This badge sheltered thousands as bullets rained down from the Mandalay Hotel in Las Vegas. This badge protected a BLM rally that left 5 officers dead in Dallas. This badge ran into the Sandy Hook school to stop a school shooter. This badge killed Oregon District mass shooter in seconds. This badge has done CPR on your drowned child. This badge has just fought the wife beater who left his spouse in a coma. This badge ran into burning buildings to save the occupants. This badge has been shot for simply existing. This badge has waded through floodwaters to rescue the elderly trapped on the roof. This badge has intentionally crashed into the wrong-way driver to protect innocent motorists. This badge has helped find a lost child so his mother would stop crying hysterically. This badge has helped the injured dog off the road and rushed it to the vet. This badge has escorted the elderly woman across the street because she couldn't see well and was afraid to cross. This badge has bought food for hungry kids because they had been abandoned. This badge has been soaked in blood and tears. This badge has been covered by a mourning band to honor those who have sacrificed everything in service. You may hate me because I wear it, but I wear it with pride. Despite your hate and anger, I will await the next call for help, and I will come with it running without hesitation. Just like the thousands of men and women across this great nation, this badge, author unknown. To all my brothers and sisters behind the badge and on the thin blue line, and to all of our military deployed downrange, you are all warriors. The vast majority of American people support and need you. And that, my friends, is that. My name is Mongo. I smoke cigars, drink whiskey, and know things. Mongo is out.
Come on in and take a trip down memory lane in Garland, Texas at TLC on the Lake, located at 4881 Bass Pro Drive. Step in and enjoy our made-from-scratch meals. It'll make you feel like you're back in Grandma's kitchen. Our friendly staff is always ready to serve you and take care of your every need. Enjoy your meal on our outside deck while overlooking the beautiful views of Lake Ray Hubbard. If you're out with the family or hosting a corporate event, visit TLC on the Lake or give us a call at 972-203-8512.
All right, we're back, man. A couple of little technical difficulties there, but we're back with the 99. And Mongo, that was a wonderful 7-page dossier of all true to fact, statistics. And I'm sure some of our folks out there want to discuss this because you hit on a couple of issues that I want to discuss, and I'm going to start off with the young officers that we do have in the police department and coming into the police department today, because you brought up a point where that is definitely a problem, where their life experience and their experience on gaming and it's hard for them to comprehend the real job of a police officer. Now, I was just talking to Doug Mondo today from Survive First. He's a retired Florida sniper with the SWAT team. And, me and him were discussing about the thick skin of our law enforcement. Now, after watching these riots, after watching these looters and the protesters screaming over and over and over and over again in our law enforcement's face, back in my day when I was on a job, I thought I had tough skin. These young kids that are out there have alligator skin, because I don't know if I would have been. I don't know if I was on the street today that I would have been able to control myself at some of the abuse, verbally and mentally, that these officers are taking hits on every single day. Can you imagine if you did that? If you walked into Starbucks and started screaming and yelling and verbally abusing the girl at the counter and sticking your finger in her face and calling her every name in the book, what do you think they would do? She would lose her mind and scream back. That's human nature. And we're faulting our law enforcement for being humans. They are not robots. I think they are showing tremendous restraint out there.
And I didn't go into it with this monologue, but another issue with the hiring, and you hear the politicians talking about it all the time. Well, the police department doesn't represent the demographics of the people they're patrolling. That may be the case, but LAPD went through this, and they went through it with disaster effects. The police have standards. They don't control who takes the test. They don't control how you come out on the test. They have their standards. If everybody that takes that test is black, fantastic. If everybody that takes that test is white, that's the way it is. We don't say, well, you know what, we've got enough white applicants in the room right now. We only want black people to come in and take the test now. So people take the test, they get their scores, and they're walked through the system based on how they come out on the test. So you have the option of, well, we can lower our standards because we're not getting enough of this type of person to pass the test, And if by lowering our standards are we making our force weaker? Well, you have standards to begin with for a reason.
Right.
When I first left the military and I had tested with LAPD back in '83, I went through a process where an out-of-towner, because I was coming from North Carolina, an out-of-towner can do it all in like a 1 week's period. You can do all the tests, everything from physical agility, written tests, all the way through the medical examinations. After that 4-day evaluation period, I came out in the high 90s, and I was told by the recruiter, sorry, you're going to have to find some other department to go to because we are not hiring white guys right now. So they hired a bunch of people that came in a lot lower than I did, and that problem manifested itself back in the mid 90s with the Rampart Division problems that they had. Guys going out and shooting people, killing people, robbing people. Those are the people they hired because they wouldn't hire me and probably a bunch of other people in that same group with me that came out much higher on the testing. But
Right.
we're going to go to the bottom of the barrel, and we're going to take these people instead because of the consent decree to hire minorities. Again, the police don't control who takes the test, who passes the test, and how they come out on the test. You have a standard. You either maintain your standard or you lower your standard, whatever you want to do. But I think when you lower your standard, you are making your department weaker, and you're manifesting problems for down the road.
See, it's like that social engineering that Obama did with the military when he was in office. I was lucky when I went in '79. It was where you placed on the list. It was based entirely upon your performance on all the testing, and where you finished is where you finished. And they took top to bottom. You know, you're number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, and so on. And then wasn't long after that the politicians started, well, we need more of this, we need more of that. And truthfully, you got some folks that came into law enforcement that they had no business being in there. They were scared, they had no life experience, they didn't know how to communicate with people. Like Mongo referred to that LAPD deal, the problems began to manifest themselves several years later. Their physical fitness, they lowered the standards. One of the maddest I ever got on the job was responded to a burglary in progress at a lumber yard. Get there, and it's got a big fence. It had a 10-foot high fence around it. Suspects were inside the yard. They saw us coming. They started to run. I drove my car up to the fence, bailed out, jumped on the hood, up and over the fence. Okay, had a partner with me, and I won't say male or female or whatever, but my partner could not get over the fence. I get there, chase these two knuckleheads down. They didn't split up. We end up fighting. So I'm fighting two of them, and I'm looking back over my shoulder, and there's my partner standing at the front of the car, can't get over the fence. Couldn't drag the fat ass over the fence, and I was pissed. And when we got done, I had to call for other backup. They came. We got him in custody. We got back to the station. I told my boss at the time, I said, do not ever put me with that person ever again. I refuse to work with them.
Yeah,
I was mad.
And rightfully so. Rightfully so.
Continued on. You look at all this social engineering that they're doing, and it's messed up police departments across the country.
Burbank did the same. Well, Burbank did this thing back in the early '90s. I was teaching defensive tactics, so I was at the range almost every day. And the range is where we had our obstacle course for the take the written test, pass the obstacle course, and you move on in the testing process. The first part of the obstacle course is you run up a hill, and you got to go over a 6-foot wall, 6-foot block wall. I came to work one day, and there's a pink 2x4 that's bolted to the wall, probably about 1.5 feet off the ground. I go, what's with the 2x4 on the wall? You go, well, we don't have enough females passing our physical agility test, so because they can't get over the wall, so we're putting this there to get the females over the wall. I said, are you shitting me? I said, are you going to go around town and put a 2x4 on every wall and fence in town? Because I said, that's what it's for. I said, it's not to see if you can climb a wall. It's to see if you can get over a wall, because that's what we have to deal with in the field. This is real life. That stayed up for a short period, then it came down because it was a stupid idea. We're going to lower our standards just so we get more females. Well, how about getting some females that are qualified as opposed to finding females that can't climb walls that you want to get on the job because you need a female? Well, we're not filling numbers. We're trying to do a job to save society.
But this goes back to the same thing you were saying about participation trophies.
Right.
Okay. Listen, I took both fire and police tests. I did not pass the fire test. I passed it, but not with a good enough score. I got a 95 and a 95. 95 on a written and 95 on a physical. But you needed 100 or 105, with some military points to really score high and get high on the list. Did that piss me off? I could have did better. I should have trained harder. I should have studied harder. Maybe those, they didn't just give me that job. You know what I'm saying? So we're giving jobs away that people are not qualified for. It's like giving a participation trophy. You didn't earn it. You didn't study for the test. You didn't prepare for the physical agility. Those walls, we've had them in the NYPD gyms. Okay? And I had people in my academy class that couldn't get over the wall. But you know what? A lot of them were determined, and they stayed after, and they practiced. They worked up their upper body strength to pull themselves over. They worked at it, and by the end of the academy, they were getting over that wall.
So he's identified one of the serious problems, and that was the lowering of the hiring standards because of all the political social engineering. But here's another problem. You police unions, now they have some benefit, but think about, I don't know, people you could think about from New York, from NYPD, but I can think of several people, and thankfully only a few, but several that I worked with over the years that I know of one guy. I went on a call of domestic violence. He beat the piss out of his wife, right? He's a cop. Went down there. I took the whole report, submitted it. He was a douchebag. He beat his wife up.
Right.
He should have got arrested.
Right.
And I think that was actually before it became a felony in California when that happened. I think they filed it as a misdemeanor, or it was taken as a misdemeanor. But nonetheless, he beat her up, right? He kept his job. He ultimately got fired, for another incident later on down the road, got fired, then got his job back, and ultimately ended up having rank in that department. Now, here you got a guy that is I rolled up on this same officer one time, and I watched him make a bogus arrest, and I went up my chain of command. I complained. I reported him. I said, I just watched this happen, and I read his report, and it's total BS. This guy ultimately made it to a position of great responsibility in the department. Ultimately got fired and then sued and got it back. Now, what kind of when you have a person in a position of leadership within your department that has a long history. I knew him from the time he got hired and got out of the academy, and up until the time he lost his job, got it back, and became a high-ranking member of this department. What does that say right there? That guy should have been fired years before.
And
yeah,
I know who you're
You know
talking
what I'm
about.
talking about.
There's he and I both tried to lateral to a different department at the same time, so we both tested together. He had a college degree. I did not have a college degree at the time. I came out 2 positions higher than him, and this is his mental. This is what police administrators a lot of times think about. He said, "How can a guy like that come out higher than a guy like me on a testing process?" Well, because I'm not a douchebag. Because your college degree doesn't make you a great person. It just makes you college educated.
That's it.
That's all it does.
At times, like you said, what type of college degree? I mean, if you get a liberal arts degree, how is that going to help you in the criminal justice system?
Yeah.
Well,
you should have a degree in criminal justice, a degree in social science, a degree in one of the disciplines that apply to law enforcement.
This guy should not have been a police officer. He had no integrity. But just to tell the whole story and to be completely fair, after he got out of law enforcement, he turned his life around and did make a difference.
He has turned himself around.
He's turned his life around.
Yeah.
But he should have never been a cop in the first place. And it's things like this when you have associations and unions and they do serve their purpose, but we all know they protect some of these people that, man, at the first sign, you should start asking yourself, maybe we should take a closer look at this guy. Maybe he's not really suited for this job, and get him the hell out of there.
Well, you bring up a valid point, and this is where I think everybody wants to change. This is where when we talk about the dismantling and the defunding we're talking about we also want to change the perception, because that officer, that one officer that you just spoke about, that bad officer, right? Okay, you've seen things and nothing was done, right?
Yep.
Okay, can you imagine all the interactions throughout his career that he had with the civilian population that caused turmoil, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when we say that one bad cop tarnishes a badge, that tarnished badge has a ripple effect throughout the country, throughout the world, and it paints a bad light on all these other the good officers that are out there trying to do the job. So this is where we have to, as cops today, have to say, I'm not going to let you tarnish everything I've worked for. I'm not going to let you tarnish my good name. I put my life on the line for the community. I'm not willing to die because you wanted to make a bogus arrest.
But here's the thing: the good cops then are put in a very awkward position because he's on the street, he's wearing a badge, carrying a gun, and you got to work with him, and you got to depend upon him to back you up.
Right.
It happened a lot, and
yes.
and I always laugh about his college comment, because this guy, because he had a college degree and he looked good. He was juiced and he was pretty buffed out. He took steroids.
Oh, you got a man crush on this guy?
No,
I mean,
no,
you're really,
no. As a cop,
in your homosexuality. It's okay. It really is. You're getting defensive.
I thought he should have been fired early on. I thought
Right.
he should have been prosecuted for beating his wife up. And I mean, there's a long litany. But when nothing happened, and you know why? Because it was politics. The administrators go, man, this is a good-looking college. He's a college graduate.
Again, you called him good-looking. You got a man crush.
He was. Okay, I mean, it's just the truth. But they would say it publicly. They would say, well, Mongo, you're just a high school graduate, and 12, you're just a high school graduate. I know you guys are leading the department in arrests and you're doing all this good stuff, but look at this guy. He's a college graduate, and he's not really that bad of a guy. Yet they had tons of paper. They knew he was poisoned, and it ended up years later costing him all kinds of. But then he ended up getting the last laugh because he got his damn job back because of protections. Okay,
right.
And it causes problems. But the guy on the street, that rookie cop that comes in that doesn't know this history, he has to work with that dude that's caused all this turmoil. He has to depend upon him to have his back in a pretty violent community,
right.
And it creates some very awkward and very dangerous situations, because guys like me and him that were around from the beginning of that
1800s.
we knew the score. We knew to watch our back. We knew when the paper was cut. I'm distancing myself from this right now because I know it's not right.
I got you saying. I got to cut you off because we got to take a commercial break. You're listening to the 99% Radio Network, broadcasting you from Fishbowl. We are discussing about dismantling this funding. How can we change, the importance of law enforcement, but we all recognize throughout our country that we do need some sort of change, not so much a reform, but we need some better training. So we're going to discuss all that right after these messages.
Live each week on Wednesday from 1 to 2 p.m. Central Standard Time at FBRN Studios at Globe Life Park. Log on to hear all the latest sports stories and even some mindless jabber from Billy and myself. So be sure to log on each week on Wednesday from 1 to 2 p.m. to catch The Basement Show with Nate Miller
on FishbowlRadioNetwork.com. Jump in.
Hi, I'm Dr. Lasagna Ivory, and I am running for Duncanville ISD School Board Place 4. I have been an educator for more than 20 years. The value I place on education is demonstrated in my personal academic accomplishments, my relationships with students, parents, teachers, and other stakeholders. As a member of Duncanville ISD School Board, I will unapologetically focus on academic achievement. Vote for Dr. Lasagna Ivory for Duncanville ISD School Board Place 4, Election Day, May 2nd, 2020, and early voting begins April 20th. I'm not just passionate, I'm prepared. I'm Lasagna Ivory, and I approve this message.
Looking to purchase or sell your home? Visit Warriors Agency Group in McKinney. With so many different loan programs out there, you need to choose the one that's right for you. That's why at Warriors Agency Group, Our realtors are highly trained to find a loan that fits your budget. We stand behind the values and the integrity we've adopted through our military service. Our knowledge of military and VA benefits is what stands us apart from civilian realtors. So give us a call at 214-998-3842 or drop in at 7200 West University Suite, 300 in McKinney, Texas. You've served your country. Now let Warriors Agency Group serve you.
This is Jay Dobbins, and I love the 99% Radio Network. Do yourself a favor and start listening today, right now, and every day. Tune into
All right, we are back, and we are. What was that? Something just queued up. Queued up in the deck. Queued up in the deck. We're back with the 99% Radio Network, broadcasting live from Fishbowl Studios here in Arlington, Texas. Globe Life Park, the heart of the entertainment district. Man, we're discussing dismantling, defunding, our young cops, PTSI. We're discussing it all because, you know, we really do have a problem. We have an issue, and it's not 99% of the cops out there. We do have with any other agencies, professions, you have bad people within your agency. They do slip through the crack. They do change during their days on the job. It's our job as law enforcement and to recognize the change and see if we can weed those people out.
Well, I give kudos to the city of San Diego, the San Diego City Council, because they've actually increased their police budget just recently by $27 million, and that was just approved. But San Diego has always been one of the most underfunded, underpaid large cities in California anyway. They've always been underpaid, so they're getting some money for their department, which is good. These agencies that are saying, well, we're going to defund, they're not talking about totally defunding, but taking away a good portion of the police officers and police department's budget to put it towards other programs.
Well, let me can I interject on? Oh, good, because I want to interject on that.
Go ahead.
Oh, well, like you said, defunding is bringing it to other programs, right?
Right.
And that's fine. That's fine. You want to take that money that you were going to give to the police department and give it to a social service, right? Just let's say social services because for the mentally ill, right? Or for CPS, for child abuse. Okay. Now you're going to take that money, leave the cops out of it. Leave the cops out of it. Do not send them to those calls. Don't send them to the CPS calls. Don't send them to the emotionally disturbed person medical calls. Don't send them. Send the psychiatrist, send the psychologist, send the social worker.
Yeah, but and you know that's not going to happen.
No, but if you're going
I understand. No, I agree with you.
You know what? If you're going to redirect those funds to those services, make sure those services step up. It's not a 9-to-5 job no more. We're redirecting the money over there. Now you get off your ass and you do your job, not from behind a desk, but you're out on the street. This is what you want.
So are you going to start giving CPS workers training and conducting investigations?
They already have it.
They suck.
Well,
they suck.
Well, you've seen a lot of children die under the CPS.
So that's what I'm saying.
Right.
Are you going to start giving them law enforcement level training to go and do their job when they respond to these child abuse calls?
But you know what? Yes. No, don't give them law enforcement because they haven't gone through the academy. But you know what? Everybody's so hyped on social services will work. Okay, fine. Let them do that. Let them take over that aspect.
This is what people don't understand is the training that in all of these aspects to investigate these crimes, to just at the basic level even, that police officers get. Mongo said it right. If this continues, if that trend, it's going to be a shit show.
Yeah, but what we have to do, okay, and this is where law enforcement lands, all right? Law enforcement takes all the crap from failed organizations that do not do their job through CPS, through social workers. Look, the transit system in New York City told the police officers, told the city they wanted to remove the vendors from the subway system. They wanted to remove the vendors from the subway system. The mayor's office told the police officers. See, police officers don't make these rules. They are guarded by their politicians who set precedent with their chiefs. So these cops were told to go into the subway systems and remove the vendors, right? The cops do that. There's backlash. Politicians wash their hand of it, right? We don't know nothing about it. The shit falls down on the law enforcement. So now give it to somebody, give it to a private sector to do. Don't make cops do it. Let cops be cops, all right? Let them go out, investigate crime. Don't send them to all this petty bull crap, right? If you're going to redirect funds, let them just fight crime. You know what? Have the ticket agents go give tickets. Don't let the cops do that.
I'm disgusted, but I'm really looking forward to see what Minneapolis does.
Yeah.
With no police department.
Yep.
I mean, from the smallest, most mundane thing that police officers do through a homicide investigation. Because at the lowest level, they're enforcing traffic laws in a school zone. When school kids are crossing the street because somebody's going 10 miles an hour over the speed limit, they're writing that ticket. But now, there's no police. There's not going to be any police. So if somebody wants to go 40 in a school zone, well, what are you going to do? Nothing.
Right.
If somebody has an accident and they said, well, you know what, I probably shouldn't have had those 9 beers, and they get back in their car and drive away, what are you going to do? Nothing.
And taking the police out of schools. The New York City school, the Board of Education, New York City Board of Education voted on removing the resource officers. Right? They said, we can handle this. We can handle this. Because that the cops are killing our kids.
Oh, yeah, all the time, every day.
All the time.
Yeah.
Oh, well, you know what? To the New York City education system, your teachers are sleeping with our kids.
Yeah, let's take the teachers out of school, too.
Right, so let's take the teachers out of the school.
Well, and
you're going to paint everybody with that same broad brush. Listen, don't throw stones unless you know your house is clean.
And let's add in that we're now glorifying criminals, hardened criminals. We're making them heroes in certain segments of society. And you mentioned it in the monologue, about profiling. Any cop worth his salt can drive down the street and look at someone, profile them, and say, that's a bad guy right there. Whatever his color, race, creed, sexuality, doesn't matter. You know, if you're worth your salt, that's a bad guy.
You can tell if someone's got a gun.
You can tell.
You can tell if they're carrying a weapon.
Nowadays, though, certain segments of our society, political people, people that call themselves spiritual leaders in the country, that aren't worth a damn. They're glorifying these people, and who are looking up to them? Other people in society, kids, younger people. They want to emulate. Well, look at so and so. He did all. He spent years in prison and was a violent felon. But let's raise him up, and we got some serious problems. There's going to be a problem, and here's this new generation. They might be stoic. They might be able to hold their tongue and stuff. But what they don't know how to do is go hunt bad guys and take them to jail without fear, because they're always having to look over their shoulder today. And let's be honest about it. Back in the old days, we were lucky because we could go and hunt bad guys. We were told, go hunt bad guys. We have a gang problem over here. I want you to go take care of this problem. And we did. We never got in trouble for it. We had the backing of strong leaders then, but it's changed over time, and now everybody's worried about liability this, liability that, political correctness this, political correctness that.
Well, with that,
and it's ruining cops.
Well, that's going to get cops killed.
Yes.
Because a cop is going to now kind of take that extra couple of seconds, and that's going to be the matter of life and death, because he's going to be nervous about the ramifications. So all his training that he learned is going out the window. So all the funding that you put into the training is going to go out the window, because he's going to second-guess his actions. He's going to second-guess those life-threatening situations.
That they showed the picture of him. He was tasing that guy. He was on top, had mount, and he was tasing him repeatedly. You guys saw this was just the other day. You remember seeing that one?
Yeah,
and I think I don't know if he got fired or not, but I know he was suspended. He tased the dude like 6 times.
Right.
I'm like, dude, back in the old days, you didn't even have tasers. You'd have to learn how to go hands on with a bigger, stronger, more aggressive opponent, and
learn your cuffing techniques.
Handle your business.
Well, and the politicians and the administrators are taking away weapons from the officers' tool basket. So I won't even argue about the chokehold because unless it's applied properly, you can hurt somebody with it. So let's just get away from that. But we're taking away impact weapons. I jokingly said, well, pretty soon they're going to take away flashlights because there's going to be criminals complaining that it gives the police an undue advantage in a nighttime situation, being able to illuminate an environment that gives away where the bad guys might be hiding. There's so much to this job that the politicians do not understand. They really need to interact with the police and see what's going on because they can talk from their city council chambers. We need to do this. But you don't know what you need to do. When I'm talking about the younger generation coming into this job, there was a period when I was a training officer where they had me go to for the LA Sheriff's Academy. All different departments participate in the academy. It was towards graduation, and they had the night problems where they put each of the academy cadets into a radio car. They dispatched them to calls, and there's like 15 calls set up throughout the where we were. I think we're at the Los Alamitos racetrack. I was a proctor at the location that I was at. The call was a man down, just a man down the street. Call you get every night, man down. The first officer that shows up is a very small female from Long Beach PD. She parked her car about 50 feet away, and she gets on the PA system, and she's calling for this guy to get up, which he's not going to do because in real life that doesn't happen. But she's being safe, and she's doing all the officer safety stuff that they teach in the academy.
Hold on one second. We're getting an incoming call. Welcome to 99% Radio Network. You are on the air. Is that Travis? Travis?
Is that a butt dial?
I don't know. Hey, Travis, you there? All right. Well,
I think someone butt dialed us.
Yeah. That's Travis. He's going to be calling in on the Mad Radio Show, and I think he was just trying to check his Skype. Just keep going. I'll
go ahead.
So anyway,
keep going.
She finally has to actually approach this person laying down. Now, this scenario is a no-win situation for the rookie officer because the officer is going to be shot, which is not typically going to happen on a call like this, but my job was basically just to see how she reacts, what she does. So she finally approaches this person, the man down, who's laying on a gun. When she finally approaches close enough, he rolls over and he pops off 3 rounds into her midsection. It's a cap gun. Made lots of noise. Her reaction was she grabbed her chest and her stomach with both of her hands. She actually fell back to the ground and she laid down. I said, "What are you doing?" She goes, "Well, he shot me. I'm dead." I go, "Well, you can't think like that." I said, "Your mindset has to be no matter what happens, you're going to survive. You draw your weapon and you shoot that guy back. You don't die. There's no dying." But that's the mindset of the people they're bringing in. I mean, I got shot, I'm going to die. That's the kind of person that's going to cut themselves and they're going to see blood. They're going to die in their radio car because they got a cut finger.
Yeah.
It's that there's just so much more to this job than the hiring process. They need to look at these people a little bit deeper. I know they're looking to hire the females because we need to get females. I know they're looking to hire minorities because we got to get minorities. But you need to look further into this person. Who is this person, and what do we ask them to do? Like I said, you're looking to hire angels to do the devil's work. It's not a clean job. It's a dirty job. It's an honorable job, but it's a dirty job.
There was an episode of Blue Bloods,
which is going to soon be off the air.
Yeah,
it has to be.
And it was based on a real life situation, and it was where one of the councilmen in the show, it was one of the council members had spoken up about police brutality and police shootings and whatnot. So Commissioner Reagan had arranged for the council member to come and take training on the FATS machine, and put them in these different situations. And like 3 times in a row, the council member shot and killed an innocent person because they were scared.
Right.
And he made his point, like, this job is, like you say, you're doing the devil's work. It is an honorable job, but you got to have people that can deal with those kind of situations. Police officers do social work. They do medical work. They do all of these things. They have to be all of these things wrapped up in one. And I don't want to sound like I'm trying to pat myself or you on the back, but it takes a special person to do the job and do it right. A lot of them can do certain elements of it, but I see this new generation coming out. And to be honest with you, I didn't see any rookies on the news things that I've seen. I haven't seen any rookies on those picket lines, standing those posts. Now, they might have been there.
Oh, I did. You could tell by the fear in their faces.
Well,
they were looking for mommy.
I didn't see those. I saw the guys that have been there for 2 or 3, 4, 5, 10 years.
Salty guys.
Who were ready to take care of business, and had they been allowed to do so, could have shut that shit show down pretty quick.
Well, here that brings me to the next segue on this conversation. We're blaming the police officers. Now they're in New York. They started the mask brigade that they've identifying cops who did not wear their masks in the riot and during the protests, and that if somebody that they arrested gets COVID, they can track it back to the police officer. Now they're going to blame the next wave of COVID on police officers not wearing their masks. But let's really think about the past 6 months. Let's look really at the past 6 months with everything from COVID to killer hornets to
murder hornets.
Don't
mislabel them.
To
wait for the sodomy geese.
These riots, these protests, right? What'd you say?
I said just wait for the sodomy geese.
So, let's take a look at everything that's led up to this point in the last 6 months, and look at the narrative behind it. Look at what I mean, you could see the writing on the wall. This is, if you are not capable of saying that you're looking at this as a coincidence that these issues are happening, you take your head out of the sand.
You're living in a bubble.
Take your head out of the sand. All this stuff has nothing to do with race, has nothing to do with black and white. It's got nothing to do with that. The powers to be, the upper people, okay, the people that we are not allowed to talk to, right, who are pulling the strings of the politicians, okay, are placing that
George Soros?
Oh, maybe, yes.
Him?
Placing that wedge and diverting and diversifying, dividing their country, because it's what is that saying? Divide and conquer, right? Because once you divide the people, right, and have them fighting against each other, it's easier for you to swoop in and do your dirty work. And that's exactly what's happening. These people are causing a smokescreen throughout the United States for an agenda that is coming up in November.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing. And we are all collateral damage. They don't care about us. They don't care if we live or die. They don't care about your families, okay? Any politician out there is, they are pulling our strings.
So I have one question for you. Who's the one person in this country that's come out with the strongest statement in support of law enforcement?
Trump.
Hell yes. So he's not part of the problem, okay? But when you see Mitt Romney, all right, marching with violent protesters who have been violent, okay? Or you see Nancy Pelosi come out and kneel along with all the other Democrats on little X's marked on the floor in a staged event.
Yeah.
When you see that crap, you see Ocasio, whatever the hell, Cortez, defund the cops. We got to defund. You see.
It's
all
all about our Greenpeace deal and climate change and everything else. But when you look at what you were just saying, the photo ops. Okay.
Yeah.
Trump going to the church, photo op. We've seen that. We know that. You don't have to call that out. Of course that's a photo op. Any politician's going to, a politician is eating pizza and kissing babies.
Okay, but
that's what it's all about.
Here's the difference, in my opinion.
Okay.
All right, so if you remember how that whole thing came about, Trump gave a press conference that day in the White
Right.
House, okay? And he's trying to tell everyone, we need to calm this down. Law enforcement needs to take control of this,
Right.
and I'm not scared. And if you saw those pictures, he walked out of the White House, walked across the lawn over there, over to the church. He walked like a boss. He walked
Right.
like, I want my president, like, I'm in control of this. Get out of the way. I'm coming over there.
I'm not disagreeing
Right.
with you. I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm saying, but it was a photo op. Of course it
Yes,
was.
it was.
Okay, politicians, that's what they do. They take photo ops. Okay, but
they're
for the
to make a
Democrats,
point.
but the Democrats called out Trump.
Right.
You made this photo op. Yes, photo op. And then 2 days later, they do the same exact photo op. That's what they do. That's what politicians do. They do photo ops.
There's photo ops that show leadership, and there's photo ops that are pandering.
Right.
Trump has to show leadership.
Correct.
He is the leader
Right.
of the free world. If we only see clips of him in his basement talking from a teleprompter, that doesn't instill confidence in the country he's supposed to be leading. So yeah, he has to get out there. So yeah, they're all
course.
photo ops, but he's also
Right.
doing it as a show of leadership.
Right. Do you
As
think-
opposed to putting on the African scarves and the African headgear
Right.
and kneeling down in the halls of Congress, that's pandering.
Right. Exactly.
Well,
But
Jerry
you know,
Nadler didn't kneel.
He when
That's
Trump
'cause he
went
split his pants.
when Trump went to North Korea, and he walked over with King Kim, right, and he shook his hand. That's a photo op. He was probably under his breath going, "I can't wait to kill you." You know that. You know.
But you know what's interesting about that? Is before he actually took over as president, he was told by President Obama, "Your biggest problem in this world is going to be Kim Jong-un and North Korea. You're going to have to deal with that, and it's probably going to end up in a war. That's your problem." And then, however long later, he's walking across the border hand in hand with this guy, talking to him. They may have gotten nothing accomplished, but they've talked.
Right.
They've opened a dialogue. So his biggest problem, according to Obama, apparently I can talk this thing through.
Yeah.
So Obama's full of shit again.
Well, and
Hate to call it, but I'll call it.
you call it. Here's another thing that kind of pissed me off about the protests and the riots. All right, this. When we look at this all came from an issue in Minneapolis from a bad white cop who murdered George Floyd. Correct? We all agree on that. 99.9% of the country agrees with that.
Yes.
Right? So, you know what? I kind of look at when you're having these protests, you're going to scream at some cops. You're going to be pissed off at some cops because they are for what they stand for. Right? You're going to paint the whole all the law enforcement across the country with that same broad brush. So you're going to be pissed off at everybody, which is fine. We can take it. We're big boys. We pull up our big boy pants. Right? But why? Why are you desecrating and damaging military memorials? Why are you smashing military memorials? Why are you breaking the windows of fire trucks? What did they do to you? What did those military... You desecrated a cemetery of military heroes. Why? So that makes me...
They desecrated a monument to, I think it was the Massachusetts 154,
yes.
Which was an
all-black organization,
that
right.
fought for the
So-
Union during the Civil War, and
Right.
they totally destroyed it.
So that right there shows me that these protests, these riots have nothing to do with George Floyd. This is an agenda set forth by a political party, the leftists, to stonewall the November election.
So
you
and-
can
and-
see
and
it.
you know,
the writing is on the wall.
do you know where the next generation of peace officers is going to come from? It's going to come from the group of people that were kneeling down, kissing other people's boots. That's where they're going to come from. And then I'm telling you, I predict the shit show is going to really get started then.
That's part of the problem that I talked about in here was that the politicians are going to create an environment where nobody wants to do this job, and they're not going to get people. They're not going to get the kind of people that they need to do this job, and this job is going to completely change.
They've already started creating that environment.
No, absolutely.
You know, cops now are putting the ones that have the time are putting in their retirement papers. So you're losing all that. When a cop retires, you don't just lose a cop to retirement. You lose knowledge, skills, and mentorship. You lose a valuable employee to the law enforcement community when a cop retires. And now, up to about 2 years ago, cops was saying, "You know what? I'm not going to retire at 20." When I was on a job, it was 20 and out, 20 and out, 20 and out, right? Now you got cops staying on a job 25 years, 28 years. You know what? Because they love the job. They love giving back to the community, and they love mentoring the younger cops. But you know what? Politicians have ruined that. They have definitely ruined that.
When you hit a time and a place where you're giving up precincts in your city, you're abandoning them to the mob and letting the mob rule. There's real problems. I mean, it's so bad in Chicago that you have these very liberal Democrat aldermen or councilmen, whatever they call them, aldermen, I think they call them up there, feuding with the mayor. And they got it on tape. I don't know if you saw that or not.
No, I didn't see it.
They started arguing with the mayor, saying, "My ward is a shit show. We have armed thugs carrying AK-47s waiting to kill other thugs right now walking the streets." Said, "You're a liar." "No, you're a damn liar."
The conversation going back was,
really?
F you. No,
yeah,
F you.
F you.
Oh, it was great. They played on the news last night several
and
times.
it's not going to get any better. And I submit what we need now is a generation of police officers like there used to be. Let police officers go out there, follow the rules, because we're all rule of law guys. Get the training that you need, but go out there and hunt criminals. Take people to jail that deserve. Don't let them bail out or walk out door with no bail.
You don't. But see, you just said something. You don't have a cop. Does not have that. Cops. People. Cops enforce the rules.
Correct.
The rules are not made by cops.
Right.
Okay?
That's why I'm saying
those are your senators, your politicians.
Right. It's
and
a
your district attorneys.
Yes, I agree.
And your district attorneys who, cops arrest somebody for breaking the law, and then you throw them back out on the street.
But it's going to take...
It's a waste of time.
Here's what's going to happen. I predict it's going to get much, much worse.
Oh, it will.
And society is going to take it. Society as a whole will be the victim. A lot of people will die as a result of it. A lot of property will be damaged and stolen, looted, whatever, as a result of it. And then there will be ultimately society will say, enough is enough. We got to go back the other way.
It's the pendulum.
The pendulum, and it will go back to the way where you don't need these social worker type cops. You need cops that can go out there and kick some ass, take some names, throw some people in jail, write good paper.
Right.
And do it without, violating people's civil rights and so on and so forth. But that's what it's going to take.
I agree with you, but okay, when that pendulum swings back, right? How much damage is going to be in its path, in its wake? 55 million plus damage just in Minneapolis. Think about every city across. We're looking at trillions and trillions of dollars of damage, right?
But a lot of politicians are happy about this. A lot of politicians are happy about this. Oh, we're going to get the federal government to reimburse us, and look at all the damage that we're causing to the administration now.
Right.
How do you think the citizens, just the regular working,
the hard-working citizens,
when they look at their chief of police or their command, laying down, prostrate on the ground, licking the boots of some douchebag? Honestly, how do you think that?
Oh.
Do you think they're going to have any respect for that guy as a cop?
No.
You're gonna obey one rule. I would never respect a dude like that ever.
No.
Ever.
Nope.
I'm not yet decided where I'm at with the cops that walk, that march. I don't know if there's some really smart stuff going on, like if we're here, we can keep a better eye on things. I don't know. I'm still trying to sort that one through because I believe in law and order, rule of law. People have a right to protest. They have a right to say whatever they want. And we've spent a lifetime, all of us, protecting that right. But these guys, and I'm not directing my comments so much towards those kind of people that protest peacefully. I'm directing it towards the ones that are burning shit down and taking over police precincts and turning cars over and killing cops.
Right.
During these.
During this have you guys heard of a tally on, speaking about cop cars that were burnt and damaged? I wonder what the tally is on cop cars, because I know just alone in Washington, D.C., over 55 units were damaged and totaled. I can't imagine how many across the country. I know New York probably lost close to 100 vehicles, and
And on the heels
I
of
wonder
COVID,
what that is.
where all these Democratic and most of this really bad stuff is happening in Democratic areas where the shutdown was extended longer, the tax money's not coming in. That is I don't know what 50 plus police cars cost to replace today, but I'm guessing $40,000 a
piece, more than
all
that.
the radios and
easy.
Probably more than that.
Yeah.
And that's on a government bid.
Yeah.
So with all the equipment, you're talking probably about $80,000 a car.
So when Trump says we're going to have law and order, I'm like, hell yes, I support that 100%. I call for it. We need law and order. We need law and order restored.
Well, when the Minister of Defense or the Secretary of Defense, Minister of Defense, I'm thinking about myself, says that the Sedition Act was for when the police have lost control of society, and they have.
Yeah.
Whether they've physically lost control or they've lost the ability because the administrators and the politicians have told them you may not do this, they've lost control. We need to get that stopped. And if it's going to be the military that's going to do it, then use the Sedition Act, use the military, but let's stop all this shit because it's ridiculous.
Well, you heard what happened in New York today, right? This morning?
No.
All right, this morning, and I want to make sure I got this correct, the Article 50 Act. And it was to protect the law enforcement, the officers' personal information. So the City Council in New York has already voted today, and it's passed, that they are doing away with the Article 50, which means now, as a criminal, as a defense attorney, okay, if you're a cop on a job and you have any complaints, right, false or unfalse, or it doesn't matter, substantiated or unsubstantiated, right? If you make an arrest, that criminal has the right and has access to all your personal information, including how much you make a year, home address, type of car, and who your family members are.
And why did the City Council do this?
Because they want transparency. They are putting New York City police officers and their families in grave danger. Grave danger.
Was it just you that told me a couple days ago that somebody was saying that, well, I guess NYPD lost like 600 officers to retirement just this past couple days. But didn't you say that somebody told you that, or that you had read somewhere that somebody said, do not apply for NYPD,
yes,
don't go there?
That was me.
Okay.
That was me. That came down from the PBA president. He put out a form letter saying, do not apply for the NYPD. He put out a blanket statement to
and that's
his
what
troops.
I said. The politicians are going to create an environment where nobody's going to want that job,
Right.
and then what are you going to do?
As for the Facebook post of 600 NYPD people retiring and quitting, there's no validity to that.
Okay.
There's no truth. But there are people that are putting in their papers.
I saw that was
ready
over like a 3-day period.
Yeah,
which didn't surprise me. Well, they got like 30,000 officers, all right?
38,000.
So the number 600 didn't surprise me. I was like, well, that's probably about right.
But it very well could be though. But there was nothing saying that it was a mass walkout or anything like that. If 600 did retire, they were probably up for retirement anyway.
Right.
Can't blame them.
Yeah, but I don't think that had anything to do with the current situation.
You're going to have a situation where you have peace officers whose sole job, the only thing they're going to want to do, and you really can't blame them, is go out and take a report after the fact. Tell me what happened. I'll write it down and submit it. They're not going to be actively investigating things. They're certainly not going to be hunting criminals because they're going to be afraid that their shit's going to get out there, and you know it will. And that just listen, we've had bad guys come to our houses before. He and I had to have SWAT team deployed on our house before because of threats against our families.
Well, that was your mother-in-law, right?
That I could believe.
You can't just call on your mother-in-law.
But so I know that that feeling in your stomach when you're wondering what's going on at your house. You're wondering about your family being safe. And I've actually had my family attacked by douchebags before and had my home burnt to the ground by them. I had a contract put out on me. So I know when people find out where you live,
That's
what
a
can
dangerous,
happen.
right?
It is and so who's going to want to put yourself in that
I
position?
mean, they're following cops home now. They're following them home now to try to find out where they live.
Yeah.
You know, it's bad enough. And that was another thing that one of the politicians was saying that, you know, you got cops that live outside their patrol areas. They don't live in the community they patrol. Now, they said they want to bring people, they want to make cops live in the communities they patrol. You cannot do that.
Why would you do that?
You're placing the family at risk. Criminals will seek revenge.
And a lot
they
of
don't want to go to jail. So, and not only that, that's a hotbed for corruption. Because if I grew up with you, maybe I don't want to arrest you. I'll let you just slide on this one.
3 times during my career, and we lived in the town where we worked together, he and I. We lived a few doors apart, as a matter of fact. And every dirtbag in that town knew where we lived. And they would frequently drive past our house to make a statement. But back then, there was a cost for doing that.
Right.
You didn't do that and get away with it because
Right.
shit would happen. When we went to Burbank, we lived 55 miles away from the station, 55 miles. And the dirtbags still found out where we lived.
Oh, yeah.
Now, how that happened, I don't know. Did you ever find out how that happened?
No.
We don't know how that happened. But they found out 55 miles away from Burbank. We lived out in the desert. And somehow or another, they found us.
Well,
when my house got burned down, I lived out in the woods 16 miles from town, in the forest right on the Kentucky River. Somehow or another, they found out where I lived and came knocking at my door.
Well, now with the city council vote, you can just ask your defense attorney what the address is, and and they'll give it to you, along with the victim. So and just like the officer, the perp can go back and revisit the crime scene, and he can revisit the police officer's house. He can do whatever he wants. The criminals have so many rights. So you're going to see a total.
That doesn't sound like a right. That sounds more like a privilege that the city council has decided to bestow upon the suspect or the criminal.
Yeah.
It's not a right. The courts haven't said we must do this, but the city council says we are going to do this.
We are going, and they did it. They passed it. They passed it today, which is horrible.
The blah blah going to sign it?
I think he already did.
Oh, jeez.
I think he already did. I will fact check that, but from what I saw from reliable posts and reliable sources, it went into effect because I saw a lot of people pissed off about it and scared.
Sounds like New York City needs to experience about 6 months of blue flu.
Yeah.
We'll fill the positions. We'll respond on calls, but we ain't doing shit.
You know, I know there's a lot of speaking of blue flu, a lot of feelings that way. We experience things where we would joke about it, about calling in sick to make a political point, right?
Right.
Then we all decided, and I think most cops are like, you know what, this is my duty. I have an obligation to protect these people that care about what we're doing. And there are good citizens out there that give a shit about what you're doing. And you have that obligation to them. You took that oath to protect and serve them.
Right.
And so
that's why I say go in, be there, fill the position, respond to calls, but you're not obligated to
put your life on the line.
Right.
Don't put your life on the line.
It would only take one day for some kind of organized activity across the country like that to happen, that it would get their attention and it would get the public's attention, and maybe it would get it enough that they would say, like these knuckleheads in Minneapolis that defund the police, and these knuckleheads in New York.
They're disbanding.
They're disbanding.
And these knuckleheads in Seattle and everywhere in these Democratic-controlled bastions of socialism, it would get their attention. Like, you know what, maybe we are jumping off the deep end here and we ought not to do it, because people want law and order. They want to be able to respect their police departments. They want honest cops. They have a right to expect, well-trained, good cops. But we are going to descend into anarchy very quickly with the actions of these Democrat politicians that are defanging the police.
And a lot of innocent victims and lives are going to be lost.
They are going to be lost.
They are going to be lost.
100%.
I mean, all for their agenda, all for their political agenda. See, like I said, they don't care about the collateral damage. They do not care who they have to walk over to make sure their agenda is heard. So a lot of innocent lives are going to be lost more and more. And I hate to say it, but told you so. Told you so. You had to see this writing coming on the wall. You had to see it.
I wanted to comment too on something you said in your monologue. I can remember certain groups and families that had a number of people in it that were part of organized crime, and we would fight with them. We would arrest them, take them to jail, and it was a never-ending cycle of us against them. And they would hate you. They would call you every name in the book. They'd fight you, and then a family member would OD, and we would, you'd respond on that OD, and you'd be in there giving their family member mouth to mouth and giving them CPR and stuff, and they'd be crying on your shoulder, going, "Oh, Mongo, save Chewy, he's dying, come on, Mongo." And then when Mongo would save Chewy, "Oh, Mongo, I love you so much, you saved Chewy from certain death,"
Yeah, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't.
And that's just the way it was. They want you, at the end of the day, even the dirtbags, no matter how much they fight you and take pot shots at you, when they need you, and they inevitably will, they're going to call you. And then when you get there and you save Chewy's life because he overdosed, it's going to be, "Oh, Mongo, I love you so much. You're the greatest thing since sliced bread." Is that not a true statement?
That's a very true statement.
True.
I mean, it doesn't get any truer than that. People and a lot of the public, they don't want to see what the cops have to do, but they want you to do your job, but they don't want to see you doing it.
Yeah.
They don't want to see. They want to put their rose-colored glasses on and look at the world with little blue jays and flower doves, and they don't want to see the real reality of how shitty this world really is.
It's like making sausage.
Right? Yeah, you don't want to see how it's done, but it's really good at the end of it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
How come you can't check the fingerprints that you took on that three-dimensional holographic machine you guys all have down at the station? Well, because that machine's not real, and I couldn't get fingerprints off of that surface. That's just the way it is.
Hey,
Right.
45 minutes has gone by. How come you haven't solved this crime already?
Well,
That's right. Without commercials.
I'm glad you brought that up. And then you look at some of these corporations. Let's hit on some of these corporations that now have taken away certain things like Legos. I will never buy another Lego. I got grandkids, but I will never purchase another. I will never I will never let Legos into my house ever again. For jumping on this bandwagon now and saying they stopped making all the police toys, fire toys, White House toys. They got rid of it all. So Legos, I'm so pissed off at that. Then they took, now they took 33 years on TV seasons. They took Cops off. They took Live PD off. They're looking to take Law and Order off. Chicago. They're looking to take all the police shows off. They're looking to take.
They'll probably take the next 48 off too, even though that's 48. Real life.
They're looking to take. What is that? That little cartoon Paws. The little cop dog, whatever he is.
Oh, really?
They're looking to take that off the air now.
Well, they took away the guns from Elmer Fudd and Yosemite
Yes.
Sam.
Yeah.
Do you know what I think?
So taking guns away from a cartoon character really could help.
That's a Second Amendment violation right there.
Wait, if we're gonna take the guns away from the cartoon characters like Yosemite Sam, shouldn't we take shouldn't we raid the Acme rocket company and take the rockets and dynamite away from the road from the Roadrunner,
the Kaotic,
the Coyote?
Yeah. Do you know what I think? And I've said this before for a number of years, and I know a lot of active duty law enforcement people will probably disagree with this, but this is an observation. I think it's true. I think one of the biggest things that law enforcement can do to change their image is quit emulating the military. I think the militarization of law enforcement. Now, do I think that law enforcement needs military-style gear and weapons? Hell yes, I do. And I'm all for that. SWAT team should have the best armored vehicle. They should have whatever they need, any kind of military weapon to do their job. I'm okay with that. But that stuff stays in the closet till you need it. For the cop on the beat, okay, he should be in a police uniform. He should look like a police officer, in my opinion. Okay, whatever uniform that agency wears, that's what he should wear. He should have a badge, an actual badge that he wears on his chest. He shouldn't come out.
They do that.
Here's where
I'm going with this.
Here's 12, and I disagree, but I'll let him go on.
Okay, cop comes out now. If you're a canine handler and you got a dog out of dog hair, I can see wearing BDUs. I do not want to see my police officers in military BDUs. Okay, I want to see them looking like police officers. And I don't care if they wear harnesses or the vest that are all kind of the all-in-one. I don't care about that. That's a matter. You got backs and so on. But I want my cops to look like cops. I don't want my cops to look like they're part of the military. And I think that's created in the old days, and this is an element of it. In the old days, the cops were, again, and I've said this on air before, they were in the neighborhoods. They were doing community policing before community policing was a buzzword. They were talking to people. They would stop and play with the kids in their uniform. Okay, they would go down to the Y and play with kids and interact, and the citizens. They would be out there. Now they're in these big SUVs with the tinted out windows. You never see them. There's a disconnect between, and they've, Obama did it when he said no more military equipment to the police departments. That he recognized correctly the problem, but he went about it, I think, the wrong way. Okay, it is the militarization. The police department's already semi-military.
Well, it's a paramilitary organization.
Paramilitary
organization.
yes.
Which let me just feed into that is that the police department has to be a paramilitary
Yes,
organization.
I don't disagree with
that.
that.
When you go to the academy, you have to be trained. I mean, your tactics. The instructors have to break you down to make sure you're strong enough to be able to do this job. So it really does have to be a paramilitary organization.
I agree. I'm not disagreeing with that.
I disagree with you on the uniforms because I fought the other way the entire time that I was wearing a uniform because wearing those wool suits, it's not comfortable. It's hot. You can't run and jump and climb and dig under stuff and
yet
chase
you
after
did
stuff.
just fine doing that.
Oh no, I did it. But,
okay, so did I.
But when you rip a pair of those trousers, it's a lot of money. When you rip that, and you know what? You don't have the same flexibility and agility that you do in those. Did I want to crawl into a car? Nope.
And yet you did.
No, no. There's a lot of times I didn't. I'd do a push-up position and look, but I didn't get down there because I'm not going to get that uniform dirty.
Okay, but you are correct.
I think now if they're going to go to court, put them back in the wool suit, make them go to court looking appropriate or in a suit. Okay, I can see that. But as far as a working uniform, BDUs are the way to go, and I don't have a problem with the cop showing up in BDUs now because, dude, you're dressed to work hard.
Okay, and again, your own records goes against you there because you did just fine wearing a ruled uniform with your shoes. How many hours did we spend shining shoes?
I shine my boots all the time.
Okay,
but
so
that was me.
All right, and you did just fine. So if you can do it, and I could do it, and he could do it, these guys could do it, and I think honestly, this is just my opinion. Again, I realize it's not popular. I'm probably in a minority, but I think if you look like a police officer instead of somebody from the 3rd Armored Division, it makes a difference with the population that you're trying to serve.
Okay, I'm gonna side with Mongo on this.
Oh, I'm sure most people will. I'm
just gonna side with Mongo on this. I'm going split right down the road here on this. I agree with Mongo. Your uniform really needs to be comfortable. You need to be able to functional, right? So. But on the flip side of that, I agree that cops need to be out of their cars and walking the beat and being one with the community. Now, doesn't matter what the hell I'm wearing. If I come out of my car and I'm being one with the community and I have a good attitude and a positive attitude, my uniform is not going to have any effect on.
I don't know about your academy, but in our academy, and Mongo will have to admit this, one of the first things that they taught you, first impressions matter. If you look like Joe Shit the Ragman, they're going to perceive you as Joe Shit the Ragman. If you look like you got your shoes shine, you got your shit together, you're fit, oh, my God, look at that police officer
You can wear shine boots with BDUs.
Yes, you can, but how many people do? I've seen some, they shine them with a chocolate bar or a grinder. Okay, I mean, you know what I'm talking about.
And you can wear an actual badge with the BDUs. You don't have to wear the cloth sewn-on badge.
Yes, you can. But again, this is just I grew up old school.
I know, so did I. Okay? But I grew up old school, but I actually see.
I mean, remember we talked about John Jinks, right?
Yeah.
Okay, a stud. He showed when I was a kid. He would show me that example. He looked like a beast, and everybody respected
whatever
him.
John Jinks showed up in, he's going to look like a stud.
Yeah, but he was respected because of the way he looked, and I think, just my opinion, and it's based on for a lifetime around. My dad, 35 years a cop, very well respected.
Well,
he
let
never
me ask you
dressed
this.
like that.
What do you think about P buttons?
I hated them.
Okay, but they sure make you look sharp.
Yes,
they.
but I agree. I'm
and
with
that
you
was, and I fought with Cam Brown's
I hate
father,
them.
Lieutenant Don
Yep,
Brown, about
they
that
suck.
forever.
Yeah.
But they make you
Okay.
look good. Boy, you step out of that car, people go, "Ooh, a police officer." So
truth to that.
Yeah, kiss my butt.
I hated them. I hated them. But again, we have police officers. Here's the bottom line: police officers today, to make a change, they got to get back out in the community. They have to start connecting with the people they're trying to serve. And if they do that, if they get into the neighborhoods, instead of sitting up on a main thoroughfare and, oh my God, I gotta write a ticket. I gotta have this moving violation. I gotta have my numbers. Get your ass into the neighborhoods. Start talking to people. Stop when you see them out. Make those connections. And eventually,
this is going to go to what's going to actually solve these problems with law enforcement is training and supervision.
Yes.
You need the proper supervision and the proper training. So let's just take Rowlett, for instance. The supervisors apparently are happy with the officer that goes out there and doesn't do anything and brings in that $50 traffic warrant from Garland
Right,
PD.
it's revenue.
That's because the administration's happy with that. So what you're going to need is you're going to need administrators that aren't happy with that. You're going to need administrators that want to go out and start enforcing the laws. And then you're going to have proper training to go along with that. So training and supervision, if that's what the department wants, that's what they're going to get. You have to have a department that wants something else to get something else.
True.
Rowlett's happy.
All right, so you know what? We're running out of time. We probably got about 3 more minutes. You want to do any closing statements there, guys?
Oh, dude, I'm all right with the world because my gym's open. So I'll be here next week.
Just a reminder about the event at VFW 5076 on Saturday, starting at noon. Bikini Car Wash, sponsored by Southern Dogs 286. $10 for a bike and I think a car. I think it's $10 for your vehicle. $11 buckets of domestic beer, $13 buckets of foreign beer, and it all goes to benefit VFW 5076. And walk the bridge on the 22nd. We're hoping to have a great crowd to come out as we continue to raise awareness. And I do predict that the whole mental health crisis with our first responders across the board is going to explode somewhere down the road, and it just gives added importance to what we're doing.
I know you drink domestic beer primarily, but it's called imported beer, not foreign beer.
What did I say?
Foreign beer.
Foreign beer? What the hell is it? If it comes from Japan, it's foreign.
Import.
Ah, Jesus.
It's not foreign beer.
All right, whatever.
Okay. Talking about their foreign beer.
Excuse me, they'll have $13 buckets of imported beer.
You know what scares me is that you actually probably walked in the bar and said, "Give me some foreign beer."
No, I would say, like, give me some Sapporo or something. I mean,
give me
you were just gonna.
Hey, I don't care about directions. I don't need coordinates. Just fire the weapon.
Fire the weapon. Okay, and then so I make that prediction about our mission. It's going to take on added importance going forward, and I look forward to joining with Blue Help in working on that mission. And then again, looking forward to the big event August 1st. Really excited about that. I love military hardware, so point the weapon in any direction, and it'll be cool.
Fire the weapon.
Fire the weapon.
Yeah. Once again, man, and we know our law enforcement out there is having a real tough time. It's going to get bad. It's going to get worse before it gets better. But we really have to look at your mental health. We have to make sure your mental health is stable, because if your mental health is not, you will not be able to perform your job to the full extent, and you are risking serious injury because your mind is not going to be on the job.
Don't be afraid to open up.
Yeah. So
hashtag we will listen.
Yeah. Yep. I will listen.
I will listen.
I will listen.
But
we will. Yeah, we will. But it's hashtag I will listen
all right.
from Blue Help.
I'm off script.
See, when it's not you're off script, but when you add things
I'm off
to
scripts.
when you add things to a hashtag, okay, they don't work.
I'm sorry. I'm behind the times. What can I say? You got the point.
I got it because I know you.
I meant we will listen.
He meant we as the three of us.
We. All right, but it's hashtag I will listen.
Okay. Hashtag I will listen.
Perfect. All right, Blue Help started the campaign. Hashtag I will listen. Go on to it, check it out, because it's very important that we will be there for our first responders. You know what? We praise them for getting us through, bringing us through the COVID. They were heroes yesterday. They're still heroes today. We got to make sure that, their mental health is fine so they can perform their jobs. Make sure that you thank them. You thank a police officer if you go up, you see him on the street. Believe me, right now, more than ever, a thank you towards a police officer will go a long way, because they are being hit by everybody in every direction, and we need to show them support so they can get their jobs done. They need something to brighten their day a little bit. So, to all the first responders out there, all our law enforcement out there, 99% Radio has always and will always continue to have your back 100%.
No equivocation. We unequivocally support them.
Yes, hashtag. And for Florida, for our Florida PD, man, if you're having an issue, a great organization out there is called Survive First. Check them out, Doug and Karen Mondo. They have a podcast, they have a radio show, and they help millions of thousands of law enforcement officers throughout the country as they travel. So check them out, Survive First. We got Blue Help for our firefighters that are dealing with stuff. Laughter Saves Lives out of New York. Check them out as well. And until next week, boys, we will we'll keep the engines rolling, right?
Absolutely.
So, all right. Stay blessed, stay well, stay safe, stay fat.